Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range, cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns out with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your lossy. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Stroke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see matter of fact. Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny.
Hello and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick, and let's get this show started. Ooh, we're in the dark tonight. Yeah, I wanted to make it lights out tonight. I see better with the lights out, anyways, and I feel better when the lights are out. I feel still like crap. I saw the physical therapist today, and they worked on me today, and oh man, it's gonna be rough for the next. I want to say the next 2 months is gonna be really rough on me. But I'm going to do everything I can to get myself better, and I won't quit until my body does. When my body quits, that's the end. But know for a fact that I did not quit. So with that said, hello everyone. What's up, Albie? How you doing? Got some news here to watch, so we're gonna get right to it. I'm not even gonna hesitate on it because we do have some stuff to watch. Some viewers' discretion is advised, but it's been a wild time. We're going through wild times. Um, what's gonna happen next? I'm gonna have to do a show on that so I could read the cards and maybe do a pendulum session where we could get some answers to all these questions. But that is not going to be tonight. Tonight it's going to be more watch the news, see what's going on, and then move it along. Because I do have a lot of windows open. I want to be done before 10. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get the show here started. And let's bring this one up.
Dana.
Some on the far left are taking heat for failing to acknowledge the peace deal, and that includes squad members who repeatedly called for a ceasefire. Trey Gowdy is here with us now. I just want to have a little flashback to all of this. This call for one here. Watch.
I am a co-sponsor of the ceasefire resolution. This is not war. This is chaos.
We are calling for an end of this violence, not a break in the violence. The temporary pauses are not enough. We need a permanent ceasefire now. We need an end to the genocide.
That is why we are here. An end to the
Read that
genocide,
script.
an end
Read that
to the
script.
women's cells
Democrats, all you do, read
for
that
a
script.
ceasefire now.
And they weren't asking for the hostages to be released in addition to that. But anyway, Eli Lake from the Free Press wrote that the hostages return home and the lies fall apart. For the ceasefire now crowd, the end of the fighting has been a bit of a drag. While everybody else was very joyous,
Yeah, where's
they
the
were
Democrats
very quiet
at?
yesterday, Trey.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I think President Trump deserves a Nobel Prize for doing something no one else has been able to do, which is get the squad to be quiet. The only one who said anything equated the release of Palestinian murderers with hostages who had to witness murder. The only member of the squad who said anything. So, look, everyone, Obama, Clinton, even Chuck Schumer, every reasonable person realizes this is historic. And what Donald Trump has done, whether you like him or you don't, but the squad's hatred for both President Trump and the Jews is so powerful, they can't even bring themselves to congratulate him for ending a war. It's really sad. I mean, if you study psychology, it's sad that they hate someone and a group of people this much.
Zohran Mamdani had a big rally in the northern neighborhood here in Manhattan. Big rally. He may be the mayor 3 weeks from today. We'll see how the vote goes. He issued
don't
a
know
statement,
how
didn't
he's
mention the
becoming
president by
mayor.
name and called for an end of the genocide. Here's part of that. I'll read it for you, Trey.
I
He
really
said
don't
today's
know.
scenes of Israelis and
This is all
Palestinians
bought
were
out
finally
anyways.
moving. We cannot look away. We must work rather toward a future built upon justice, one without occupation and apartheid. How does that ring with you? One without occupation and apartheid.
Pretty hollow. That's the downside to democracy, Bill, is every now and again you get a leader like this. So this is what I would tell people in New York. There are lots of other really, really nice cities, Dallas and Charlotte and Greenville and Charleston. We will even build a graffiti park, and we'll put some scented marijuana in the air so people feel at home. But if New Yorkers want to leave New York and go to a city that is not led by someone who cannot even bring himself to mention the name of someone who hasn't done anything. It hadn't been done in 3,000 years. The president's right about that. Hadn't been done in 3,000 years. No one thought it could be done. He did it, and Mamdani cannot even bring himself to congratulate Trump. And he continues to equate Hamas with Israelis. I mean, look at his statement. He can't even bring himself to say, thank God hostages were released, some of whom are, I have no children now, some of whose spouses have been killed, but he can't even do that without equating it to Palestinian prisoners who were serving, in some cases, life sentences for murder. But this is who New York wants. I mean, they have a choice between a Marxist who hates Jews and a guy who can't keep his hands off of women. So if you don't want to live in a city like that, there are other places in the U.S.
The other thing that Mamdani could have done is called on Hamas to not fire on and execute Palestinians who they claim were dissidents. That's been barely covered in the press. In the meantime, let me ask you one other thing, because this story continues. Along with Mamdani, New York Attorney General Letitia James, now under indictment herself for mortgage fraud. She was at his rally last night. Watch here.
Oh, Lord.
We see powerful voices
Look at her.
to silence truth.
What is going on here?
And yes, weaponize justice for political gain. You see, I know what it feels like to be attacked.
She is stupid.
For just doing your job. But I also know what it feels like to overcome adversity. And so I stand on solid rock.
It's just like delusional. Very delusional.
I will not bend.
Bitch, you're going to jail.
What do you think of that, Trey?
I think the irony is crushing. She ran for office literally promising to target Donald Trump. Literally, that's how she became the attorney general, is promising to prosecute someone.
How the hell people
and now
are
that
just
she's on the other
happy
side
about
of the
her?
V
Like, I don't
in
get
US
this
versus,
world.
I would love to get to a
Man, I
day
am
where
rooting for the
nobody is
asteroid.
prosecuting
Fuck
their
this shit.
political
None of y'all
enemies. They
deserve to be
prosecute
here.
fact patterns
Nobody
and not
deserves
people.
to be here.
I'll just say this. I hope the judges are more fair to her
I'm
than they were to
bringing
Donald
all my
Trump
energy to bring that
in New
asteroid
York.
towards
But
us.
sometimes you get,
Fuck
what's good
that.
for the goose is good for the gander. She ran for office literally targeting
Get rid of
Donald
all this
Trump,
stupidity
and
all
now
at
she's on the
once.
receiving
Everybody
end
goes.
of it. It was wrong when she did it.
Yeah.
So, look,
So-
I hope we can get back to the old days.
Said she put him behind bars. Her campaign was based on that. That neighborhood is Washington Heights for our viewers at home. Mamdani may rack up 60% of the vote in that neighborhood, at
That's
least,
stupid.
I say. So we'll be watching that come election night.
And I bet you
Thank
how many
Trey. Nice to
illegals
see
are
you.
going to vote.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
That-
I'm
that-
Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe.
Like how many illegals are going to vote in this election for this Zohan Mamdani? Like, I'm assuming all the illegals are going to vote for him because they want chaos. They don't want the rule of law. They want to break the law. They want to do whatever they want. They want to use all the federal money to benefit themselves and not help anybody else. And Letitia James should not even be talking. She shouldn't even be out in the public like that. She should be already arrested and taking her ass to Virginia. Like, I just don't get this world anymore. That's why I'm saying I'm rooting for the asteroid. I love you guys. I love my audience, but we do not deserve to live here. I don't deserve to live here. None of us does. Listen, an asteroid already hit this planet 60 million years ago, 66 million years ago. Guess what? It could happen again. And I'm bringing all my energy. I'm pushing all my energy to bring that asteroid here because we don't deserve this here. We just don't. We don't. I mean, it's just going to, we have peace in the Middle East. We're finally going to, try to establish some kind of peace over there, which is not really what it seems. I'm letting you know right now. It's not what it seems. It's not. It's a very crazy one-sided on that side over there. And I hope the peace can last, but a lot of things that I've been seeing from out there, I don't think it's gonna last. Um, but here in the United States, look at all the people that are rioting. All the people are going against ICE and Homeland Security. And since the border's been closed, not many people have been crossing over. I don't hear any of the Democrats saying, "Open that border. Where's all my people?" No, because their people are already here. They let in for 4 years. All millions upon millions, over 30 million people are here in the United States illegally. And the fact we're trickling little by little, taking them out one by one, that is not going to, by the time we get all these illegals out of here, we will all be dead. It's going to take more than 100 years just to get them all out of here. That's not going to work. These people, they procreate, sexy time, and they have babies. And they have illegal babies here, and then they want to claim, "Oh, the baby's American. I got to stay here because of my baby." No, take your rugrat baby and go back to your country. That's it. End of story. But I'm rooting for the asteroid, so I'm telling you. And if I die before it happens, that's fine. I will, in my afterlife, will bring an asteroid to hit Earth. I guarantee you. I promise you that. So it is what it is. Suck it up. And let's continue watching some more news. All right, I got another one here. Give me 1 second to set this up. Okay. Here we go.
Are celebrating the return of all living hostages who were being held by Hamas. The bodies of the 4 dead hostages were also sent home. In exchange, thousands of Palestinian prisoners have been released after the U.S. brokered a ceasefire agreement. As Rena Roy reports, more deadly violence happened this morning.
After more than 2 years, these hostages who were being held by Hamas reunited with their families, including Omri Moran, now back with his wife and 2 young daughters.
This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East.
But amid the celebrations, sorrow for the 28 hostages who died in captivity. 4 of their bodies released by Hamas on Monday, now all identified. 26-year-old Guy Ilous, 23-year-old Bipin Joshi, 22-year-old Daniel Shimon Peretz, and 53-year-old Yossi Sharabi. The ceasefire brokered by the U.S. also seeing the return of nearly 2,000 Palestinian detainees and prisoners arriving by bus in the Gaza Strip. 67,000 Palestinians killed, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. At least 5 more Palestinians killed this morning. The IDF says they fired at them for crossing the yellow line and approaching soldiers. A Palestinian civil defense spokesperson denying that, telling ABC News that the 5 killed were within the safe zone yellow area.
We're probably going to hear of more incidents every day or routinely like this. Whether it derails the whole peace plan, though, I don't think that'll happen.
Bulldozers were moving rubble today in Gaza City. 83% of structures in Gaza are damaged, according to the UN. Aid now trickling in, with so many in Gaza facing extreme hunger.
We need to flood Gaza with food, and as quickly as possible. Hopefully, we will get in a lot more trucks every single day.
Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And it's still unclear who will govern Gaza and if Hamas will disarm. There are also many questions about rebuilding. The UN is estimating it will cost $70 billion to do so.
Who's going to pay that $70 billion, right? I mean, they have enough oil out there, and they could manage to get that money together. A lot of people could get together and put that money together to rebuild Gaza. But is it really worth it? Because Hamas is not leaving Gaza. They're not leaving the Palestinian state. For some reason, they are going to anchor down and they're going to try to blend in, and they're going to still try to rule that area. I don't know how we're going to be able to fix this at all. It's like, this is like we pray for peace and we hope for peace. And now that we have peace, it's not going to last. It's just biblical. It's never going to be peace. It just doesn't happen. It will never happen, especially when you have shit like what's going on, like this story right here. Like this is the reason why I say I'm rooting for the asteroid, because we don't deserve to be here. This is the story, the reason why. This is why.
A graphic video has shown Hamas fighters conducting a public execution of alleged Israeli collaborators. The footage here shows Hamas gunmen lining up 7 men in a public square and shooting them from behind. Hamas confirmed the authenticity of the video. The group told Reuters they will not be tolerating any violations of order in Gaza. Palestinian security sources say dozens of people have been killed in clashes between Hamas fighters and rival tribal groups in recent days.
It depends on what level you want to go down to, but you've got Hamas and allied groups who are, if you like, of an Islamist stamp. You've also got non-Islamist hardline Palestinians who reject any accommodation with Israel. And then you've got some groups who are not allied with Hamas. And then you've got clans and families. In many cases, those people are against Hamas as well.
So what you got there is a power vacuum. We've seen this before. Joining us live on our Wednesday morning is our panel with 2 men with experience in intelligence communities in Canberra. Labor MP Julian Hill, Liberal MP Philip Thompson. Good morning to you both. So,
hey,
Julian, I'll start with you here. How concerned are you about a war, if you like, within a war?
A war within a war, Pete?
A war within a war. You've got a war within a war. If you want me to spell it out, you've got a small kind of civil war between these rival groups in Gaza now. That small picture, while you've got the bigger war, which Donald Trump now has conceded is over.
Happy to comment on that. I thought you were talking about the coalition and the Liberal Party and their civil war. Look, that video is disgusting, and it reinforces the position the government's taken. To list Hamas as a terrorist group and make clear that they can have no role in the future governance of a Palestinian state.
Philip, as someone who knows a bit about warfare, what do you make of this power vacuum?
Well, it's quite concerning, and hearing from President Trump earlier saying that if Hamas doesn't disarm, he'll disarm them. It is very concerning to see that there is conflict that is bubbled over again and executions happening. We should be keeping a close eye on it, because if it isn't controlled, it will explode into militia-style conflict throughout the region. It's something that we don't want to see, especially in times of peace talking.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we'd be facing if we went in with peacekeeping troops. John O'Duniam supported that yesterday if we were asked. Big caveat there. Would you support that, Philip, peacekeeping troops to Gaza?
I think it's a bit early right now to be talking about setting Australians as peacekeepers, especially since we're only now seeing the release of hostages. Not all of the bodies of the hostages have been released. It's still in turmoil and conflict and things like that. It will put people in danger. And if you're going over to be a peacekeeper, it's not supposed to be in a kinetic role. You're not supposed to be gunfighting. You're supposed to be there to make sure that the peace is stable and happening with linking backs to the nation, the UN, the US. I don't think we're there yet because of these public executions. If Australians were there now, it would be a kinetic fight and it would draw in every other nation. So I think we've got to watch this from a distance, but also make sure that we're standing closely with our allies in the US and the UK and offer support where they think it's needed. But right now, it'd be in a gunfight.
How would you feel about peacekeepers, Julian?
I mean, the government would consider any requests for contributions to international efforts in the normal way. I'll make one point. I've said for years, I think on your show, Pete, in forums and elsewhere, that my view about this decades-old conflict is that it will only end when the world sets limits to the conflict and intervenes collectively to guarantee the security of the State of Israel and the Palestinian state.
Let's get now to that topic that Julian just referred to. So I'll go back to you, Phil, because James Patterson, he's joining us in the show in about 15 minutes, but he wants to stop the election post-mortem. He wants to move on, to get back to fighting the government. But is your infighting over with?
I hope so. What I want to see for the Liberal parties to be a good opposition that can hold the government to account, that can have its own policies that we can take to an election. The difference is, though, from the coalition to the Labor Party is we we can have discord, we can disagree, and as you've seen, we have. We don't get kicked out of the party for doing that. The Labor Party, you disagree, you get kicked out. Senator Payment, for example. So I want us to get back to what we should be doing, and it's developing policies to be a great alternative to take to the Australian people at the next election.
What do you think of James Patterson's remarks overnight, Julian?
Well, I agree with the first point Phil made. I want the opposition to actually behave like a good opposition. It's important in the Westminster system. We've got a good government at the moment. We don't have a functioning opposition. I mean, Senator Price described the opposition as a clown show. She'd been a member of the Liberal Party for about 5 minutes, then she quit and she described them as a clown show. Phil, I reckon your pronouns now are clown and circus. But I'd take issue with one thing.
I don't have pronouns, my friend.
He said...
That's a you thing.
He said the apology tour has to end. I don't think the apology tour has started. I haven't heard any serious remorse for the mess they made in government of robo-debt, of trashing Medicare GP bulk billing, of a deliberate policy for a decade to suppress wages and keep workers' wages low, of doubling the national debt before COVID, bequeathing us the worst productivity decade in 60 years, or 24 or 28 coal-fired powered stations announcing their closure, and they did literally nothing. I don't think their apology tour has yet started. They haven't confronted the actual reality of their dreadful record in government, that wasted decade of decay and division. And they've got a long way to go, but keep talking about themselves. That's all they seem to be good at.
Well, Julian, I mean, the Labor Party had a rough week, though, with your backflip over super. Did you know that you were selling a bad policy when I was asking you about it?
Oh, cute frame, Pete. I'll give you points for that. But remember, we've been talking about this for the last couple of years, about how to make the super system stronger, fairer and more sustainable. And we've been listening, we've been consulting. You know, we've listened to the discussion that we've had here on this show many times. And the proposition that we've put forward is good for low-income Australians, and it better targets the concessions for people with super balances of $3 million and $10 million indexed, which is a point I think you and Phil have been advocating for. You know, I think this is a good policy process.
Right.
Superannuation changes shouldn't be rushed. They've gone through a cabinet process. We've listened carefully, and we've reached a really good landing point that's good for Australians and particularly good for low-income earners.
You can't say, though, that Jim Chalmers really wanted this to be the landing point, though, can you?
Well, I think you're engaging in speculation, and I understand that's your job.
Well, I know I asked him many times over it, and he wasn't moving on it. He wasn't moving on it until this week.
Well, you know, I'd remind you how cabinet government runs. I like our system of government, right? I do not want to change our system of government. It's a Westminster system of government. We've inherited it from the British tradition. It's a good system. What that means is that ministers take propositions to cabinet, they debate them, they test them, they announce what the government's intention is. We did that. We've then consulted, we've listened carefully to feedback, we've looked at alternative options, and cabinet committees have won with Scott Morrison, secret ministries, captain's calls. That all ended well, didn't it?
Yeah, it just makes you wonder what in the hell is going on. Something's just not right. Like in my head, it keeps telling me stuff. And I'm like, is it safe to say that on the internet? You know what I mean? Because I don't trust any of this technology. I don't trust the internet. I don't trust none of these apps and programs and YouTubes and all the other sites all the other programs that they have. As far as like, what else do they have out there? It's just all over around the world. This is just a worldwide plague that we're suffering, and it's called the internet. And we're being screwed. Our minds are being manipulated every day, and that's why people are going crazy and they're breaking out. It's because it's too much shit going on. It's just overwhelming. You know, it's like, when is the bullshit going to stop? You know, when is the craziness going to calm down? You know, I don't think it's going to calm down. I could hope they could calm down. But in reality, I predicted a lot of this crazy shit that's going to happen. I tell you guys, this is going to be a fucked up year. Like, if you don't believe me, go back and watch my shows. I've been saying this forever. I've been saying this, God almighty. Yeah, it's better that a lot of people are not watching me because I don't want to get popularity. I just want to get in touch with the right ones. I don't need a lot of people. I just need certain people. You know what I mean? I'm not needy. I'm not like, please come and watch. No, you come and watch whatever you want. I'm investing in the show. I spend over $120 a month just to produce this show on YouTube. Everything has a price, and I do it happily. I'm doing it very happily. You know, and it's for basically it's more for me than it is for you because this gives me something to do than being all laid up and waiting for my death to happen, which could happen at any time now. But this gives me a way out of not focusing on my health and not focusing on my daily, problems that I have. But I don't bring that shit here. I don't bring my dishes and wash it in front of you guys because it's not for you to fucking be entertained by. What I do is I show you what's going on in the world. I do my cards, my tarot cards, and I do my readings. And, when it calls for me to use my pendulum and all the tools that I have in front of me, then I use it. But if not, then I'm okay. I'm okay. And, but there's a lot of weird shit going on. A lot. And I want to see this right here. I just saw this pop up. It was on my timeline for some reason. And it just literally just popped up. So I want to take a look at this. Give me 1 second to set it up. All right, here we go. Let me make sure the sound is up. Okay. Let me just take out this window here. And this one too. It's crazy. The news is crazy, man. We're just living in it seems like the final days for sure. Like bringing peace to Israel. We're at our final days. Like when those asteroids are coming and what's coming our way, because there's a lot of shit coming our way. And no, we're not alone. We've never been alone. We were always monitored, and we continue to be monitored. Without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this here.
Writer has already gone out, then we may already be living inside the prophecy right now. The book of Revelation doesn't begin with the world exploding overnight. Instead, in chapter 6, the Lamb breaks the seals, and with each one, a horseman rides out. Revelation 6 verse 2 says, "And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and sat on him, had a bow, and a crown was unto him, and he went forth conquering." His Antichrist. Some say conquest itself. But notice this detail. The rider carries a bow. No arrows are conquest without war. Crown is earned without bloodshed. Could this be a force that gains power across the world? Not weapons. Has the white horse already ridden? Then the second seal is open. Revelation 6 verse 4. "And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword." The red horse. The rider doesn't just fight battles. He takes peace itself. violence, civil unrest, hatred spreading. Imagine a world where peace is ripped away from families, from communities, from nations. Tell me, does that not sound like today? Then comes the black horse. Revelation 6, verses 5 and 6. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice say,
A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny.
And see, thou hurt not the oil and the wine. The balances, scarcity, collapse. Not total famine, but unbearable prices. A day's wage for a loaf of bread. The poor cannot eat, but the rich still drink wine. Does this not mirror our world today? And then, the 4th seal. Revelation 6, verse 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. The pale horse, the rider is named Death itself, and hell follows. War, hunger, disease, beasts, 1/4 of the earth consumed. Here's the hidden mystery. The horsemen are not random. They are progressive. Conquest leads to unrest. Unrest leads to collapse. Collapse opens the door to death. And none of them ride until the Lamb breaks the seals, meaning heaven controls the timing. Not men, not governments, not even Satan. So where are we now? If the white horse has already gone out, are we now living under the red horse or the black? And is the pale horse about to ride? Revelation was not given to make us afraid, but to make us ready. The horsemen remind us that history is not chaos. It is unfolding exactly as God has written. Which horse do you think is riding right now? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you believe. And don't miss the next one, because we will uncover the mystery of the 7 seals and what happens after the horsemen ride. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel to stay updated. And God bless you.
Very, very good channel. I mean, I just ran across it. I think I'm very interested. I'm gonna subscribe. I'm gonna subscribe, like right now. That was a very good video. Give me 1 second. And this was. Let me check out his channel real quick. Episodes of Hope. Very, very helpful. It's called Episodes of Hope. If you want to go check it out, here I'll show you guys what it looks like. Give me 1 sec. I'll show you what the channel looks like. This is what the channel looks like. And it's just like episodes of hope, like it's hope. Just talking about religious from the Bible and so forth, and how it's projected to today's, and what we're going through today. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing to not subscribe, because I'm subscribing and I'm doing it live on my channel to all to see. There you go. You can do the same thing. And I'm gonna follow up on that series. I really like the way he put that together. That was really nice. Very, very nice. We need more of that in our lives, for sure. We're just stuck on this negative energy at the moment. And it's very, very perverse, very disgusting. Like, things that are going on right now around the world is so bone chilling. Like, what Hamas is doing right now with this public execution. Like, okay, if I was president of the United States and I found out that Hamas started doing public executions, I would have the Marines, I will have the Army, I will have all of them invade and take over the Palestinian state. It's going to need a clean sweep. And clean sweep meaning all military personnel available to infiltrate and clear out and arrest all these individuals needs to take place. You know, it just the only way I see like that part of the world to clear out that virus of Hamas that's in the Palestinian state. The only way you're gonna do that is to go street by street, door by door, all vet everybody, and if they catch the Hamas individuals, they arrest them. You know, and if they start a little ground war, then good luck because they're gonna blow you up. You know, I think yes, we could hope for the peace and everything. All this is happening, you know, but we're now having public executions. Where's Threda? Where's Threda? Where's Threda Gunberg? Where is she? I haven't heard not one video, not nothing of a thank you to President Trump, not now what's going on with Hamas killing like the Palestinians now. I have the videos right here. You want to see it? Okay, let's do it. You don't believe me? Give me 1 second. The power of the internet compels me. And give me a sec. Because the internet's pretty fast. And we could show you. I hope this one doesn't show exactly, so I'm gonna have to screen it before I play it here. So let me view this first, just to make sure they don't show the gunfire. And this is caught on cam, and there's a lot of people filming this. But how like. Give me. I hope that I don't get to see this. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Oh, I don't think I could show this on YouTube. I don't think I could show this on YouTube. I'm surprised this video is up on YouTube. I'll put the link in the chat. I don't think I could watch. I can't show this. Damn. I'll put in the link. It's 3 minutes long, 3 minutes and 4 seconds. I can't show this. Yeah, no, I can't show this. I would have my soldiers, I will have my army, I will have my Marines, I will have all my armed forces going straight to the Palestinian state, going to Palestine. And no, I can't. Oh, they're killing too many people. Oh, they're doing. Oh, Lord. Oh, this is stupid, man. Now they're going after the Palestinian people and they're killing the Palestinian people. Come on, it's crazy. I can't put this on. But I'll put the link for you guys to watch. Give me 1 sec. That's crazy. Okay, I think I have it. Yeah, I wish I could put it on here, but I can't put this video on here. But I'll put it here in the chat. I'll put it on the chat here, and then you can go watch it for yourself, and then come back and tell me what you think. You go entertain yourself. It's not pretty, you know. I would have my armed forces over there and just poof. The innocent Palestinian people are being murdered, public execution style. I put the link in the chat, and come back and let me know what you think. Please, I would like to see 0 people in my show right now. I would like for you guys to go watch that and then come back. It's 3 minutes long. And I'll wait. I'm not gonna show anything out here. I'm gonna wait. Let me see. I don't even think I could show this one. Let me see if I could show this one. I want to make sure there's just no showing of them dead. This is fucked up, man. I gotta go through very quick though. So y'all watching that over there. I'm gonna prepare this one. I think this one is it's more friendlier than the link that I just put you guys. They don't show the exact of it happening, but it's enough to know and see like what's going on over there. Hamas, this is not over. Yes, we got the hostages. Okay, great. They're the survivors. We got them, right? This is just the beginning of the war. You see these individuals, like this is. Yeah, I think I could play this one. I'll play it. I'm gonna play it without sound because I'm gonna talk over. You like the jack-o'-lantern? Thank you. Yeah, I got him, and I was like, I have a candle in there, a real candle. I put a tea light candle, and I got the one up here in the middle. This one you can hardly see it. It's like it has a candle inside. You can see the glow. I'm glowing tonight. I wanted the power of the fire, the energy around me. Like, actually, I got this too. I gotta turn it on for my crystal ball. So I put it more closer to me, my crystal ball. So I have it like right here, and then I got a new lighting system for it. So it's like you can see the lighting off my hands. And it just changes colors. And that's coming from the crystal ball. But that video made me sick. That video I just watched, the 3-minute video, that really disturbs me. It does. It should destroy, like Trump. This should be a message that this is the next step. Phase 2. You think it was phase 2 of your way, Hamas? No. We're gonna send the army, send the Marines. We're gonna send armed forces from all around the world, NATO. We're gonna send everybody, and we're gonna go street by motherfucking street, and we're gonna sweep the whole country and make sure people are who they say they are, and they're well vetted, and we've got to push them out. And if they fight against us, they get blown up. And if there's people around them, well, there's going to be mass casualties. But enough is enough. US is most likely going to get involved and blow the shit out of fucking the Palestinians. Like, not the Palestinians themselves, but Hamas. And they're going to have to vet everybody out. This is going to be so difficult, but it's something that they're going to have to get the fuck out. And they're going to sweep everything. They're going to have to break Palestine into like 2 sections and vet this one side, clear it out, start rebuilding, putting shit back together and stuff, and then bring the people back, like, and properly vet them back. That's the only way you're gonna be able to get through and figure this shit out. Yeah, I changed up a little bit on the desk. I put more candles that's lit up in front of me here. I got these. I bought these tea light candle holders, but they're stands. So there's like right above right here. There's a tea light candle. So they're like it brings more light. I feel the glow. I feel the warmth. I like that energy. It makes me very relaxed. But I'd be watching very stressful things that it hurts my stomach. It hurts my stomach. I don't want people to die. I want people to have good lives and be happy and be whatever they want to be. But society has not learned. Society is very barbaric. Yeah, because here in the United States, we don't really deal with too much, but we have our own motherfucking problems, especially with the people going after ICE. Like, that needs to stop. That just does not look good. That's just not a good look. I'm sorry. It's just not a fucking good look. I don't want and I don't wish bad things on people, but these people are not good right now for society. And I believe every single one of these people that are standing outside of the ICE facility, even if you're fucking media, should be arrested and put into a detention camp. Yeah. Fuck it. You think Trump is Hitler and all this crazy shit? Are you serious? Okay. Then do you want to think that? We're going to make you feel it too. You know, you're going to pay for your crimes. You play stupid games, you win stupid rewards. And you going out there and try to cause a ruckus and disrupting ICE from doing their operations, you think that you're just gonna get away with it? I don't think so. And I think Trump should, like, he needs to act now. The Insurrected Act needs to be in effect. I believe the only way we're going to fix our problem and solve our problems here, like, we're going to prove that we could even do it in our own country. If we're going to think about doing this in the Palestinian state, we need to learn how to do it here in the United States. And we're going to have to put the military on the ground. And these people that are protesting and all this craziness and think that they're exercising their First Amendment or whatever rights they come up with their heads. Well, I think they should have them all there, right? And then bring in all the military personnel and all the forces and bring them in and box them in. And then you get these buses. You get about a good 20 buses, maybe 15 buses, right? You line them up and you start arresting every single one of them. You just pick every single one that's walking. It doesn't matter if you're in that radius and you got caught in that radius, you're being arrested. And that's it. But that's the only way. You're gonna have to trap them up, arrest them all up, and get them out the way. You got to show, like, they're trying to show their strength by violence, right? And we're being very patient, but we're running out of patience. And then it's going to be time now to act. And look, these liberals, that's how they do. These Democrats are very wild. Screw loose. I just don't trust Democrats. I could be friends with one, but I don't trust their thinking. I just don't trust them. It's just proven. And let's continue on with the show, because I gave you more than enough time to go watch that crazy video. So disgusting. I mean, let's move on. Let's go ahead and watch this. Oh, talking about ICE and all the craziness. Here we go. Yay, Melody King! I love Melody King. You should subscribe to her channel. He's very good.
Local elected officials and faith and nonprofit leaders gathered earlier in front of the ICE facility, demanding that the fence in front of the building be taken down.
So apparently, protecting your own officers is now offensive. ICE just got told to take down a riot fence, not because it's unsafe, no, but because it looks too strong. They've got until 11:59 p.m. to remove it, midnight, as if law and order now run on curfews set by chaos.
Mr. Trump, tear down this fence now. And an American president actually ordered an iron fence to be erected in American city. Just as the Berlin Wall did in 1961, this fence stands as a symbol of division.
Let's be real. This isn't about optics, it's about obedience. The left cannot stand the image of authority standing tall behind a fence that they didn't approve of. They want submission disguised as compassion. ICE did not build this fence to lock anyone in. No, the contrary. They built it because mobs kept showing up to attack them. But in Chicago, where crime is basically a local hobby, the problem isn't the rioters. No, it's the fence that stops them. You see the game now? Can you see it? They don't want safety. They want submission wrapped in virtue signaling language so it feels moral, right? So it feels good, all while it dismantles order. Now you've got to watch how deep this hypocrisy runs.
Back up. Just go to the other side of the line. Go to the other side of the line.
Get up and go! Get up and go!
See, what's going on here? You know what I mean? This makes no sense. I would arrest all these people. All of them. Arrest them all.
They hate walls, borders, fences, anything that separates right from wrong. Their entire political brand depends on blurring those lines. You can't have order if you've trained your followers to think rules are somehow oppression.
I know.
That fence stood for strength. It said, this is federal property. You don't get to storm it. And that's exactly why it had to go. Because the moment you see the government defending itself competently, well, it destroys their entire victimhood narrative. So they've got to tear it down, not because it's unjust, but because it works. But you want to know the real reason? It's psychological.
I know my job. I'm doing my job.
Broadview Police Chief Thomas Mills says ICE agents are breaking the law every day this fence is here, blocking the village street in front of this detention center.
We are experiencing an immediate public safety crisis.
A wall of metal built secretly overnight a week and a half ago without a permit or permission from emergency responders who might have to get to people or businesses on the other side of this now locked fence. But it's not just a public safety issue. It is also a symbol of the divide between the tiny village and the federal government.
Are you guys ready to just break that fence down if you have to?
We are. Well, we have been in contact with Public Works. They are equipped with heavy equipment to get that fence down.
The government has it is better to look peaceful than to be secure. The fence looks harsh, they say. Really? You know what else looks harsh? Blood on the pavement, broken glass, officers getting doxxed online because you stripped away their protection. But no. They want the city to feel welcoming. To who exactly? To the criminals? To the agitators? They're not managing a city anymore. They're staging a performance where chaos gets applause and order.
Yeah, that's what they do with Black Lives Matter.
Chaos is profitable when you want to control the aftermath.
Yep. Demonstrators have gathered here in Broadview for weeks, expressing concern over the Trump administration's Operation Midway Blitz. The fence was erected back on September 23rd after clashes between protesters and federal agents turned violent.
Get back! Get back! Get back!
What the hell's going on here, man? This is bullshit, man. You see, what is this? Are you kidding me? What is Chicago doing, man? You hear the girl? Kill yourself. Where are these brains?
This is what no one gets.
Where's their
Left-wing
brains at?
cities need chaos. They can't function without it. Disorder actually keeps the headlines running, the voters scared, and the funding flowing. Now,
That's
you
crazy.
Tear down the fence, let the mob swarm, and then you swoop in for the cameras. Say, we're addressing the issue. It's performative. It's calculated. The more lawless the city feels, the more the politicians look like saviors. It's not incompetence. I need to be clear. This is theater. And ICE is just the latest.
They're gonna have to take over the
production,
city.
Called Collapse. But
I would like to see that.
And now we reach the real test.
Broadview Mayor Katrina Thompson announcing she's issuing an executive order removing the designated safety zone for protesters on 25th Avenue, leaving only the designated area along Beach Street for people exercising their First Amendment rights.
We have a right to protect the residents that live here, so we have to put protocols in place to make sure that everybody is safe. This is a public safety issue. It's not to take anybody's rights away.
This afternoon, crews shut down several blocks along 25th Avenue, lining the street with fresh concrete barriers to help enforce the mayor's new executive order. Earlier, after the news conference, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy arrived in Broadview. The congressman, who is running for Senate, says he was speaking on the phone with an assistant field office director for ICE in Illinois.
Well, I understand your request, but at this point, I can't authorize that visit.
Krishnamurthy and the apparent ICE agent spoke for more than 6 minutes with media present.
Of course,
he was
with
not
the media.
willing to tell me who's in there, how many holding cells are in there, or how long they've been held there.
Let me be clear. ICE should not take that fence down. Period. Leave it up. Strengthen it. Because the minute they fold to mob rule, they teach every activist, every loudmouth with a megaphone, that the law can be bullied. And that's the goal, right? To make law enforcement so timid, so afraid of bad optics that they just stop enforcing anything. But the real patriots, well,
start arresting these people.
We know that every fence
federal police officers.
It makes America weaker, not
start
freer,
arresting
not
the government.
stronger. And here's the line that'll burn through all of this noise.
It's disturbing. It's disturbing. It's another attempt at infringing people's right to express themselves publicly.
DHS extending fencing surrounding U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement's Broadview Processing Center after rioters and sanctuary politicians obstructed law enforcement through tear gas cans, rocks, bottles, and fireworks, slashed tires of cars, and blocked the entrance of the building and trespassed on private property. Demonstrators have expressed concerns over Operation Midway Blitz and have called on ICE to stay out of their communities. The Trump administration says it's targeting undocumented immigrants with criminal offenses.
Arrest them all. Yeah, that's all you got.
This isn't about offense. It's about a boundary between civilization and collapse. And the same people who call to tear it down, they're going to be the ones calling 911 tomorrow asking why no one is coming. So tell me in the comments, should ICE obey this madness or should they stay on their ground? Because once every fence falls, it's not unity that comes next. No, it's invasion.
Mm-hmm. No, Mary King, she's I love her. Like, she's a good reporter. I like how she put her production. It's pretty cool. I give her credit, man. It's true. Like, they want to tear down the wall. The kind of sounds familiar, right? With the border wall with the Democrats for the past 4 years. Let me see. The last time we had a wall issue was with Biden years. And that was very democratic. And there was no wall. They sold the wall, actually. They got the materials and they sold it off. And so many people came through. Millions upon millions and millions. Easily over 30 million. Easy. And they're all here. And the things that the cartels are here, right? They're here in the United States. They're not mentioning that in the media. They're not mentioning that the cartels are putting money towards these politicians, especially the Democratic politicians, especially the governor over there in Illinois, Pritzker, and that some of that money too is going to the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. Not good times right now. I say, listen, if we're gonna practice right for the Palestinians, like to go into Palestine and clear everything and vet everybody, I think this is the time now to prove it here in the United States and just vet everybody. You know, everybody got to respond back within a certain amount of time from where you live. And it's kind of like a census. It's like an emergency census. And they'll know where the legals are at. And they're going to go after them. And they're going to start taking them all away. We went from the really bad ones, right? We're trying to get the really bad ones out. And these people are acting this wild and crazy because we're taking really bad individuals that were prisoners from other prisons from around the world, and they so happens to be in Chicago, and they're taking them off your streets, and you're gonna come and bitch at me because we're helping society? Like, what the fuck is wrong with Chicago water? Like, what the fuck is wrong with the water? Like this is an emergency thing. Like, who's fucking around with their water? Because how can so many people breed that brain dead and have their minds thinking that way, like in a very negative way? Like that Kool-Aid juice is that strong? Like, what the fuck? I'm telling you, they militarized in a sense and they gave them too much power. And I'm talking about the LBGTQ, LMLPQIXYZ to the right now. It's probably, I don't know what power. It's just, there's just too many numbers right now to go through. But they gave them too much power, too much leverage. They have them really deep in our government. I just feel that they're just as worse as Antifa is. They're that bad. And look how it's been lately with the T's. They're shooting up churches. They're shooting up politicians and shooting up all it's just, I call it for what it is. You know, it's a domestic terrorist group. And they're shielded. They're shielded by love and by they care so much and all their bullshit. They're protected by the Democrats, you know, because that's their scapegoat, the rainbow. I can't. It's just weird. Like, it's just the whole thing, the whole everything. And you see these videos and you see the energy and you're like, why so much aggression and so much hate for ICE that's removing criminals off our streets, off of Chicago streets? Are the cartels paying these individuals that are out there protesting the way they are and distracting for as long as that they can keep ICE distracted? Are the cartels paying for this? Because someone's paying for this. And I know Prisker and I know Brandon. Listen, I'm a psychic. I'm a psychic medium. I see shit, hear shit, know shit. And I'm telling you, these individuals are just really, when shit stinks, it stinks, you know? And they smell like shit. And I feel like they're corrupt. And the only way we're gonna have to do this is get the military police and get them all down there and just start arresting the government. Take over the government there. The federal government takes over the local government until a special election is held to bring in a new administration, and they have to be a certain way of life. They're gonna have to go door to door and inspect, you know, because Chicago is written with drugs. There's written with like labs that make drugs. There's a lot of shit out there. I see it. I should project and I see all the places where all the drugs are. You know, it's just the cartels are here. They've been here. That 4 years, you understand, the cartels gave a lot of money to the Democratic Party. A lot of politicians are all paid off. That's why the Democrats, they all act a certain way because like they're all in it. But they're getting caught. You know, little by little, they're getting caught. You know, the ones that slipped, like Latricia James. Oh, she slipped. She married her dad. Huh. Omar over here in Minnesota married her brother, I believe. Right. Okay. Help me make that make sense. It will make sense to me. We live in a crazy world. And I'm rooting for the asteroid. I am. And when I die, I have more energy. I'll send it more towards this way. Trust me, I'm doing you all a favor. Like, we were an experiment. We were dropped off here. And this experiment, I tell you right now, you know, with the peace and all this and that, it may seem like a success, but actually, it's a failure. And we still have like instability in this world. We have mass killings that's going down right now in the Palestinian state in Gaza, where they're doing public executions every day. They're doing it like right now as I'm talking, just like someone's being killed. Like, anyhow, let's go on with the next. Let's continue on with the news. Sorry, I had to rant a little bit. All right, let's go ahead. Let's see what I got here. What's this about? Something with Miami Beach. Let me see.
Crime crackdown on Ocean Drive. Police say Operation 4K is paying off, taking dozens of suspected criminals, guns, and drugs off the streets.
Wow,
Local 10's Rosh Lowe joins us live
great.
from Miami Beach with the videos you'll only see on 10. Rosh?
Wait until you see these videos. We have a bunch of videos for you. You know, for a long time, the talk has been, how can we clean up South Beach? We have the numbers tonight, and they're pretty impressive. Over the last couple of months, Miami Beach police have really put a stress on cleaning up the area, and now here's the numbers and all the video.
Look, this is what has to happen throughout the country.
Get on your stomach. You are looking at Operation 4K in action. 6 weeks of action. Tons of arrests on Miami Beach. The mission: clean up South Beach. Catching suspects. Helping residents, tourists of all ages.
They're smoking weed with the child, so we're gonna need to get this kid out of here. Smoking weed and drinking with the kid in the car. It's okay, Papa. It's okay.
A 2-year-old crying as
No
police
way.
comfort him.
Stop the car. Stop the car.
In this case, police say this woman was smoking weed in the car with the windows up, known as hotboxing. The operation launched by the Miami Beach Police Department.
Oh my God.
A little baby in the back seat while the two parents smoked marijuana. We also
Oh my
recovered
God.
a loaded firearm that was inside the vehicle.
And that's just
Oh
one
my
of many
God.
arrests.
One of many arrests that we utilize our drone technology and also our undercover resources to make.
Operation 4K netted 26 felony arrests, 26 misdemeanor arrests, 18 ordinance arrests.
What?
Police said year-to-date comparisons indicate a 27% decrease in reported crimes along Ocean Drive. And this is not just about the numbers, it's about the lives of the residents and tourists. Lives of all ages, including this 2-year-old.
And we've had very, very positive feedback from the business owners, from the residents, and also from the visitors.
Wow, smoking
they feel
weed?
safe in Ocean Drive thanks to Operation 4K.
And having your baby in the car? Are
A
you
lot of
kidding me?
action-packed video, but the video that really stands out, if you saw it there, was that 2-year-old little boy
Yeah.
crying for help in the back seat of that car. Miami Beach police say this is what this is all about improving the life of everyone in this area. Although this operation is complete, you can be assured Miami Beach police still out there, very much so, on Ocean Drive. We're live on Miami Beach. I'm Rosh Lowe, Local 10 News.
Wow. Wow. That's okay. Are you kidding me? Oh, we're gonna have to watch this one. I'm sorry.
This next story is going
There's an add-on. Sorry, we got an add-on. Sorry, we gotta watch it. Here's the add-on.
I'll leave you shaking your head. A woman from New Jersey is accused of stabbing another woman in the parking lot of a Marshall's. Investigators say the two women had a disagreement in the checkout line. They claim the suspect then purchased a knife at the store and stabbed the woman. New Jersey reporter Tony Yates is live outside the Marshall's attorney with the details. Tony.
What?
Yeah, Liz, you know, the suspect has a detention hearing set for Thursday. And like you said, this wasn't even two shoppers having a tussle over an item that was for sale. As you said, it sounded like one person simply ran out of patience. And people we spoke to today say, sadly, that has become way too common.
What?
What do you think's going on in the world?
Insanity.
It is a busy Marshall's location, but on Saturday, patients ran out for one woman who ended up being arrested Kearney police say 25-year-old Amber Thompson of Newark was angered by another customer whom she decided was taking too long in the checkout line and then threatened to harm the shopper once they got outside. Well, police say
What?
Thompson bought a set of knives, took one out of the packaging, chased the shopper down and stabbed her several times.
Oh
The
my
victim was rushed
God.
to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Well,
The
the stabber is
suspect
going to
was
jail.
found back inside the Marshalls. Police say she was hiding in a bathroom where a bloody knife was also found. We tried to speak to many shoppers as they exited the store off camera. Some questioned whether or not there should be more security here, especially after the stabbing. Others say many people are simply on edge and acting irrationally.
What the hell?
Pretty crazy that happened here.
I want to see the camera from the store because they have cameras
Harrison?
inside there.
Yeah, it's just crazy because it never happens around here.
Oh, I gotta see the camera.
Well, Amber Thompson is being held in the Hudson County Correctional Facility. She is facing numerous charges, including aggravated assault and possession of a weapon. For now, we're live here in Kearney, New Jersey. Tony Yates, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Oh my God! I'm sorry about that. That was the add-on. Damn. Huh. She stabbed another one because she was taking too long in the line at Marshall's. Bitch, I go to Marshall's. I go to Marshall's and I go to Burlington Coat Factory. But we have Marshall's here. They're not that good. I mean, some of them are, but depending on the area that you go to, some areas don't have much of shit. Some areas are like not good, but then there's some areas that are like really good and they have like a lot of good stuff. Especially like in West Hartford. Here in Connecticut. But because I'm trying to think, okay, I've been in a long line in Marshall's. A long line. And it was around the holidays. So this doesn't even make sense because we're in October. Okay? Okay. How long could that line could have been? But how many people, how many cashiers were working? And I would love to see that camera because they're always recording. Because literally, when you're waiting in line, you see a big television of you, and they're like, we're recording you live. You don't believe me? I'll fucking go and I'll record. You know what? What's tomorrow? I'll go and do it tomorrow. I'm going to Marshall's tomorrow. Like, oh shit. You just triggered Rick. Yeah. Yeah, I want to show you guys. I want to show you like the cameras. Like they have cameras everywhere in Marshall's. Like I don't get like she went I don't know if she went back and purchased a knife. I mean, if that was a fight or something, why did the cashier sell that knife? You know, so Marshall's might be in trouble. Whoever sold that knife, because if they were there, they're listening to the fight. They're listening to these people arguing and fighting. And, you know, as a cashier, you're like, yo, what the fuck is going on here? You know what I mean? Like, calm down. Like, relax. Like, you know, what's going on? You know, if she needs her time, she can take as much time as she's want on the register. We have other people here that are attending to customers. So be patient. You know, that's how I would have handled it as a cashier. And I was a head cashier for Home Depot. So I know cashier, like a lot of shit about cashiers because I started off working at Home Depot as a cashier and moved up to head cashier. I have all my my little my badges and stuff. I have them in a storage bin. I could go get it. You know, I have to show you guys so much. Maybe I'll go in there one day and get the badges. I can show you. Look, my head cashier badge. here's my returns badge, here's my cashier's badge, here's like I had a lot like acolytes. I had a lot of good acolytes. I had really good scores. I had good reviews. I was a good worker, you know. And I moved on and done better things in life. Um, but it was always a good learning, you know. And it's very not easy. It's very hard to work at Home Depot, especially as a cashier. You know, it's a lot of numbers, a lot of stuff, and a lot of theft. You got to be careful, you know, and kind of like we're scanning people out. And I arrested a lot of people who try to purchase items which I knew they were on a stolen credit card. And I'm like, I got to call, you know, the register. It'll pop up because they'll try to use the stolen card, and then it comes up on my register that I got to call, you know, the card to call the company. So we have our phones. So I was like, look, I got to call the company because I have an issue, something with the card. So I'll get on the phone and I talk to whoever agent, and we get connected pretty quick. And I'm like, look, I got this card here, and it's reading out this code, and I give her the code. She's like, yeah, we cannot take that card, and we cannot accept that card. It's coming out reported like stolen. So um she would tell me, well, what they would tell me is that she'll put me on hold just to clarify with the numbers and stuff. And then she's like, nah, we gotta get the authorities involved. It so happens our store, we had a police officer outside. So I got on the other phone because we have two phones because we had a register on each side. So my partner, she's like, usually is a girl, and she's a good friend of mine who's right next to me working the register. So I'll get her phone. I said, look, I gotta use your phone real quick. So okay. So I'll call the cop that's outside. I was like, hey, I need you here, register 12. Okay. What's up? I was like, I got an issue here with a card. Okay, I'm on my way. Real quick, no more than like 10 seconds, he's coming in. And the cop comes to the register. He's like, okay, let me see that card. I show him the card. He's like, who are you? And then they try to match the name of the card. And they say, you got an ID and stuff like that? Can I see? And let me see the stuff you're trying to purchase. And he runs through the system, and yeah, they ended up arresting the guy. he was reported in other stores stealing the bus saws. There's like the buck saws. They're like the radio, like the portable saws. They were stealing a lot of those, and then they were trying to return them back. And then a lot of like from the hardware department. No, not hardware. Yeah, from the hardware department. Oh my god, the drills. Oof. They used to steal so many drills and tools, and oh my god, like and it's just so like they just you got to be cautious with them. So I knew when they used to put me on that section at the tools department, nobody like got away with stealing anything from that place. I made sure of it. But other people, you know, were kind of shady because they would take me out of that section and they would put me like in the return section, and then I will work in the return section. And then I don't know if there were people that are like kind of paid off within the company, like the cashiers. You know, sometimes they just let it slide and stuff like that. And we had the number one theft store in America. Imagine that. The Home Depot was the number one theft store in America of all the Home Depots. I've seen so many people get arrested at a Home Depot. I have. I've seen even like managers even get arrested. I've seen a lot of, like, even a person that worked in the back. She was mostly like the kind of like the accountant, like the banking, like where, because we used to send our money through the tube, and it would go to a person, like a team that handles the money and handles a lot of stuff. Well, one of those people in that team was stealing money. Like, they would send the money, they would put money in the tube, and then they would send the tube to special orders. And then at special orders, like early in the morning, they would go and get the money and put it in their apron, and then walk out the store and put it away. And that's where they busted them. That's how they busted them, because it was a sting operation they kind of had, and loss prevention was there, and they didn't know loss prevention was there watching them, and they were watching the cameras, and they saw everything go down, and yep, they got arrested. They did the walk of shame too. I'm like, damn, that's fucked up. I said like that too. I was like, damn, that's fucked up. Y'all stealing and you just try to get away with it. That's fucked up. I had no shame. I really did not fucking care either. I did my job to my best of my capability, and I did really good. Very good, actually. I was already running the front end. They transferred me to another store. They transferred me from Hialeah store, which is the #1 theft store, and to Altima Springs in Orlando, Florida. And yeah, I've done a lot. Trust me. And I have receipts. Okay, let's see what we're gonna watch next. Okay, remember that story I was talking to you? We were going through yesterday with the mother, with the aunt, and that other guy that they were looking for. All right, if you don't remember what I'm talking about, we're gonna rewatch that, and then we're gonna watch what happened today to those three individuals, because they did find the guy. Okay, and it looked like he didn't go down easily. Okay, so let's refresh our minds and our memories with this story. And the reason why I'm highlighting this story, because this town is not that far away from me, and I'm very disturbed by the story. My stomach hurts because of the story. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this. And this is a rewatch from last night's show.
The search is on now, right now, for a third suspect in the death of a 12-year-old girl in New Britain. We have now learned the mother and aunt of the little girl are under arrest.
News 8 investigative reporter Jeff Dadarian is live now in New Britain with what he's been able to learn today. Jeff?
Hey there, guys. Yeah, one investigator telling me he's got 35 years on the job as a police chief. He says this is one of the worst cases he's ever dealt with. He said emotionally very tough. Meantime, detectives say little Jacqueline Torres was physically abused and left behind in a plastic storage bin.
This case is a deeply heartbreaking and disturbing case. Our detectives, with our local and state partners, have worked tirelessly to uncover the truth and to bring justice for Jacqueline.
Seasoned investigators say this one is tough to take. 12-year-old Jacqueline Torres, her remains found inside a storage bin and left behind at this vacant house in New Britain. Detectives say she was physically abused and starved for a long, long time.
The facts that you have, that she probably died a long time ago and was stowed away, is probably enough to show you what we are dealing with here.
Under arrest, Carla Garcia, mother of Jacqueline, and her aunt, Jacqueline Garcia, facing charges too. The little girl's mom charged with murder, the aunt, cruelty. The search goes on for Jonathan Nanita, boyfriend of Carla Garcia, wanted for murder. Detectives say young Jacqueline died back in the fall of 2024 while her family lived in Farmington.
Following her death, Jacqueline's body was kept in the family's basement and subsequently moved when the family relocated from Farmington in March of 2025.
Police say DCF was aware of the family, but can't say any more right now. There are other kids involved, but they're safe. No one hurt, we're told. Did anyone ever notice Jacqueline missing from school?
I'm going to be very careful with where we go with that. That's a part of a large part of the investigation. There's been some information that's come forward between being removed from one school and entering another to being homeschooled.
From here, the court system will take it and prosecute to the highest extent of the law. I'd like to again send our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Jacqueline Torres.
All right, little Jacqueline's mother and aunt due in court tomorrow. The mother's being held on $5 million bond tonight. The aunt being held on $1 million bond. Police say they have a verbal cause of death from the medical examiner's office, but they're not going to share that just yet. We may learn that tomorrow. One more thing, quick, before we go. If you have any information about this case, especially that guy, the boyfriend who they're looking for, Nanita, give police a call. We're live in New Britain tonight. Jeff Dadarian, News 8.
Okay, so that was last night's show that I watched, and we watched here. Now, let's watch what happened today. Oh, Lord. Here we go. I tell you right now, it's crazy here in Connecticut. It is crazy. Let's take a look at Hartford, Connecticut. I don't live far from Hartford, Connecticut, but this town is crazy. I go here a couple of times, only in the daytime. I can't go here at night. It's too dangerous at night. But it's a crazy. I could take videos and show you guys. I'd be like, look, Hartford. I'm gonna do it. Well, tomorrow I'm doing the Marshalls. Maybe I could stop by Hartford and show you guys, like, look at Hartford real quick, because I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm doing a drive-by. I'm just gonna show you, take a little small video, me driving by it, because I don't have business in Hartford. I don't want to be in Hartford. Hartford's crazy. Unless I'm going to West Hartford, then that's fine. But Hartford's fucking crazy. All right, let's watch.
We begin with this breaking news surrounding the discovery of a 12-year-old girl's remains in New Britain last week. Her mother, her boyfriend, and her aunt, all under arrest and in court. The U.S. Supreme Court. Let's go to Brittany Taylor for our top story. Brittany.
Hi, Ann. Good afternoon. It was quite an emotional day here in the courtroom for the arraignment of the mother, the aunt, and a third person that was arrested in connection to this little girl's death. Supporters wearing these white sweatshirts appearing to have the image of 12-year-old Jacqueline Torres. They packed the gallery. Many of them towards the end of the arraignment were yelling profanities, disrupting the proceedings, and had to be thrown out. Let's recap what happened for you. So let's start with the first suspect, which is the victim's mother. Her name is Carla Garcia. She is 28 years old. She is facing murder charges, and we heard that she does have prior convictions, including assault. She also deals with mental health issues. The judge setting her bond at
Hold on. I'm sorry for pausing. I got to make this bigger for you guys to see. I'll rewind it a little bit so we don't miss. But what happened to his face? He must have resisted. You know that, right? There's a story behind that face. But he must have resisted, or something happened. But this is a wild story, man. What is going on here? And this is in Connecticut. I'm going to be following this case. This trial is going to be covered by me for sure. Shit, I'll probably show up at the courthouse and just film from outside. I'm like, look here, I'm live. You know, on My Mind Over Your Matter, covering this case of these motherfuckers that killed a beautiful 12-year-old girl in New Britain. And I hope they fucking get life. And I don't think Connecticut. No, we don't have the death penalty here. That's the only thing that are lucky. I believe Connecticut. I don't believe we don't have the death penalty. Let me see. Hey Google. Oh shit! I gotta use you, bitch. Does Connecticut have the death penalty? I gotta finger my phone to get the answer. No. Hey Google. My other gig was talking. Does Connecticut have the death sentence? I gotta type it in because my other phone is picking up on me saying that G word. Let's see. No, you see, Connecticut does not have the death penalty. It says here on Google search, no, Connecticut does not have the death penalty. While the Connecticut legislators abolished the death penalty in 2012, the law was initially a prospect of applying for future crimes. However, in 2015, the Connecticut Supreme Court ruled that the death penalty violated the state constitution, effectively striking down the remaining death sentences for those who remain in death row. The maximum penalty in Connecticut is now life in prison without the possibility of parole. Ain't that some bullshit? Ain't that some bullshit? That's some bullshit. All right, let's go to the story. And these motherfuckers are going to get the death penalty without the parole. So I had to stop it because that dude, he looked like, damn. Like, he got hit. There's a hit in the head here. He got like his nose, his eye, this area here. Like, I don't know if authorities did that or they arrested him like that or someone beat him up. They found out that he killed or did whatever and they beat him up. Like, I don't know. We gotta learn the story on that because, yeah, we gotta figure it out. All right, let's hit play here and let's listen.
Start with the first suspect, which is the victim's mother. Her name is Carla Garcia. She is 28 years old. She is facing murder charges, and we heard that she does have prior convictions, including assault. She also deals with mental health issues. The judge setting her bond at $5 million. Next is the aunt of this little girl. Her name is Jacqueline Garcia. She's 29 years old. She is facing charges related to cruelty. She does have a prior conviction as well, from what we heard in court. Jonathan Nanita, who is 30 years old, we heard in court that he is dealing with homelessness. He is also facing a number of charges, including murder and tampering with evidence. We heard that there dates he has some followers. To recap this case for you, let's go to Farmington. We have some scene video for you. This is where this little girl, 12-year-old Jacqueline Torres, died, according to police. We're actually filming the home in New Britain where police found the remains of Jacqueline Torres, but we did learn from investigators that she died in Farmington after malnourishment and signs of cruelty, physical abuse, and we learned from investigators that her body was stored in the basement, and then the family moved to New Britain. Now, how police came across her remains, Her remains were in a storage container outside of an abandoned building on Clark Street, and police were in the area for responding to suspicious activity. That's when they searched that storage container and found her remains. Let's take you to some more video here at the Litchfield Superior Courthouse today. Again, you can see those supporters dressed in these white sweatshirts standing outside, a number of them packing the courtroom gallery today. Again, they appeared to have the image of this little girl on their sweatshirts. Our reporter Jeff Derdarian and myself, as well as the other members of the media, we tried to get a comment from these supporters. However, they declined to comment at this time. Again, they were very emotional, very angry, it appeared to be, in the courtroom today. Now, the judge has ordered a no contact order for 4 children related to this family who, according to the law, cannot be identified, but based on their birth dates, one of them is less than a year old. One of them is 14 years old. But again, no contact orders for all 3 of the suspects related to 4 children tied to this family. All 3 of these suspects, the man, the aunt, and the mother, they are set to appear in court next on November 14th. Live in Torrington at the Litchfield Courthouse this afternoon, Brittany Taylor, News 8.
Just horrific.
Okay, well, I got some from the courthouse, so let's check it out. I don't play that. I get footage.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Carla Garcia, she is 20 years old, currently resides in New Britain. She is a lifelong resident of the state of Connecticut. Currently employed. Some high school education reported to our office. No substance use issues, but some mental health issues have been reported. In regards to cases, no pending matters, Your Honor. Last conviction was April of 2019, again out of New Britain, assault in the 3rd degree. She was placed on a 1 year suspended, 2 years probation. No other criminal record found for Ms. Garcia. In regards to this matter, bond was set at $5 million. That bond appears appropriate. I recommend that bond remain as set.
Set at $5 million. State is asking for special conditions of no contact with Jonathan.
Count 1. I believe it's count 1. But your client is entitled to probable cause hearing.
Yes, Judge.
Is she aware of that?
We talked to 3 people. Asking to have the excludable time at this point until the next court date.
So what court date are you requesting?
11/14, please.
Now, with respect to the probable cause hearing, is there an objection to the court excluding the time calculated, the time within which that hearing must be held?
No, Judge, we have investigation that we need to be doing.
Okay, so the time between now and November 14th is excluded for purposes of calculating the time within which probable cause hearing met conditions as requested by the state. Bond is going to be ordered post
authorization for my counsel. If we have just a moment.
Public defender
They caught him.
appointed and some counsel is authorized.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Biltridge.
Yes, Your Honor. So Mr. Nanita is 30 years old, outstanding out of New Britain Police Department. Date of the warrant is October 11th of this year. Destroying or tampering with evidence. The bond on that matter is $750,000. So again, that's still outstanding at the New Britain Police Department. Most recent convictions, December 9th, 2022, out of New Britain. Interfering, 364 days jail consecutive. Reckless endangerment in the 1st degree on the same file. Again, 364 days jail consecutive. He also had a violation of probation. The probation was terminated on that same date. Underlying charge was burglary in the 1st degree. He pled out in that in 2014 out of GA-15. It was 12 years after 6 years to serve, 5 years probation. The underlying charge was burglary in the 2nd degree, 5 years jail concurrent. In a larceny first on that file, which was a
State is asking that bond remain as set at $5 million. State is asking for non-financial.
Burglary in the second degree conviction in 2015. On this matter, same thing. The bond was set at $5 million. That appears appropriate. I recommend at least that bond remain as set.
I'm going to echo Attorney O'Neill's request that he not be ordered to cooperate with DCF.
Attorney Longwell, objection to the time between now and November 14th being excluded for purposes of calculating the time within which.
Hey, he got beat up.
Get out of here. Get out of the courtroom.
They call him piece of shit.
Mr. Bill, Commissioner.
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. So Ms. Garcia, she is 28 years of age, residing in New Britain, has been there for 2 months, lifelong resident, state of Connecticut. Not currently employed at this time, was looking for warehouse-style work, does have high school education and a little bit beyond that as well. Some medical issues reported to our office, prior substance use, no mental health issues reported. In regards to cases, she is currently on parole. There is a parole remand lodged. She's on parole out of a case for New Britain, pled on September 11th.
Tell me with the phone.
So she pled out in New Britain, September 11th, 2024, risk of injury to a child.
Attorney Roper?
Your Honor, I did review this warrant. Your Honor.
Remand has been lodged. The max date for that parole is April 19th of 2026. That is her only criminal conviction on this matter. Bond was
Is going to ask that bond remain as set on the warrant at $1 million. State would ask for the following
Clerk's office.
Yes, Your Honor, I have provided them to the clerk's office and with a copy to the court monitor.
Attorney Roper.
Your Honor, I don't have not a lot of money for bond. The parole hold, obviously, just ask for a reasonable one.
That's your surety. And I'm going to order that you have no contact with those individuals who are identified by Attorney Roper. I am not going to order in cooperation with DCF to the extent that I think that could have an impact on
That'll be on the Part A docket.
yes.
Wow. That's incredible, man. That's freaking incredible. Like, let me see they have the full, I think we just saw the full hearing. Let me see if this is the same thing. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
has been there for 2 months.
Let's just move forward. Yeah, we saw the hearing. We just finished watching it. That's crazy, man. I'll be following up on that case. Like I said, I'm not far from Hartford. I could even go to the courthouse. But I'm not going to sit there inside the court. Like, hell no. That'd be too uncomfortable, and I have to listen to these people. It's just like, no. I'd rather be here at my home where I'm safe and covering that case. That case I will be covering. That's a really, very, very disturbing case. All right, let's check out this one here. Liberal hive mind. Let's see. It says my browser has lost connection. Of course it has. Let me reestablish it. All right, let's check out the liberal hive mind.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Alright guys, so it seems President Trump is actually doing it. Both sides, Israel and Gaza, have now signed on, the hostages have been released. And so now it's time for President to do a little bit of a victory lap, and rightfully so. And now as Donald Trump is rightfully taking credit, I noticed something quite telling that's happening in the background. The whole global leftist narrative, these left-wing New World Order globalist clowns, they're looking like complete and utter fools. The man that was supposedly going to bring World War III, the man they told you was a danger to global peace and prosperity, the man they claimed was Hitler, a fascist, seems to be doing the exact opposite. And their faces tell you everything you need to know. Let me show you guys what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so let's start off with this moment. I think this was the most telling. Here we have the president getting praise from the Prime Minister of Pakistan. And just take a look at the face of UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in the background.
Had it not been for this gentleman, not only, who knows, India and Pakistan are both nuclear powers. Had he not intervened along with his wonderful team, Mr. President, your valuable contribution along with President Sisi, I think history will remember in golden words. I wouldn't say more, except God bless you, God give you long life to serve like this for all time to come. Thank you very much.
Look at him standing there in the background while world leaders are lining up to praise Donald J. Trump. He looks blank, lifeless, humiliated. Once again humiliated by this president. And that face right there tells you the entire story of the global left right now. They don't know what to do. Everything around them, this whole mirage that they've attempted to build here, it's all falling apart. Their entire identity on the global stage has been built on this lie that Donald Trump is some dangerous lunatic. And now they're being forced to stand next to this president as history is being written in real time, and it blows their propaganda to pieces. And actually another little piece of propaganda that got decimated. You know, there's been all this talk of President Trump, oh, he doesn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm sure you guys have heard it all over the left-wing networks. He claims that he stopped 8 wars, but he's lying. The Pakistan-India conflict, he had nothing to do with it. Yeah, well, it seems the Prime Minister of Pakistan has a completely different opinion now, doesn't he? Then, of course, there's the latest rhetoric that actually Donald Trump did nothing here. No, the ceasefire and this whole deal, this whole peace deal, it was Joe Biden's work from the previous administration. What a crock of shit that is. And kind of hard to make that claim when Anthony Blinken is praising the president. But again, all these world leaders are all saying the same thing. This happened because of President Trump. Notice how nobody's mentioned Joe Biden's name not even once. Here's Egypt's president, El-Sisi. He makes the claim that President Trump is literally the only person on earth capable of bringing peace to the Middle East.
I even said that very precisely during my communication with your Excellency, that you are the only one who is able to bring about peace and to achieve peace in this part.
And just think about that, because again, this is the man they told you who was racist, who was unstable. He's a psychotic fascist fueled by Diet Coke and McDonald's burgers. The preservatives and trans fats have gotten to his brain. And it's funny because when he enacted that, let's call it the Islamic travel ban, that by the way was a Obama policy that Donald Trump decided to go through with, they claim that, oh, he hates the Middle East, he hates Muslims. But no, of course not. He was just able to see that there was a clear issue happening in that region, and he didn't want to continue importing those problems into America. There was an acknowledgement of the problem, which of course is the first step to fixing a problem. And now here's the president not acting as a racist, an Islamophobe. No, he understands the unstable nature of the region, and he has worked tirelessly to make it better. And that's exactly what he's accomplished here. And in many ways, he's negotiated in the interest of the people of Gaza. He hasn't taken the neocon side of blowing them to smithereens until the very last Palestinian. No, in a lot of ways, he's interested in their future as well. And you know, it's got me thinking, what kind of dictator does that? What kind of supposed racist dictator negotiates peace instead of just bombing these people to smithereens? The reality is, President Trump is different. And I think people are finally starting to see it. He doesn't play their games. He doesn't bow down to the donors, to the deep state warmongers. He doesn't owe the military-industrial complex a damn thing. And that's why he's unpredictable, because he does in the moment what he feels is right. And yet every time people called him controlled opposition or a puppet of Israel, well, look at him now. In these peace negotiations, especially recently, he put Netanyahu in his place. He applied the pressure when it mattered. He forced the Israelis to negotiate. And that's why we're seeing scenes like this where Netanyahu's getting booed and President Trump is getting cheered.
To Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And to President Donald J. Trump.
Wow.
And of course,
that's crazy.
Endless applause for President
and then
Trump
comes back to America and then we boo him. That's crazy.
I was there. I even saw people wearing "Make America Great Again" hats in that crowd over at Hostage Square.
I think people are starting to realize who the real leader is here. They claim he's a puppet of Israel. No, he's not. He's hell-bent on leaving a good legacy, on leaving the world a better place than when he found it. And they also say he's an agent of Russia. But in those negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, he's not just doing the bidding of the Russians. Again, he's trying to find compromise. He's trying to mediate negotiations, compromise, bring an end to all the dying. And really, I think it goes beyond policy. It goes beyond politics. I think this is human. That's what this president is. Human, above all. And I really think this is Donald Trump's moment. People are starting to feel it. They're starting to see it. Even old school Democrats. Take a look at this clip. We got a lifelong Democrat voter from New York who called in at C-SPAN. He just broke down in tears at how beautiful the moment was.
That was a momentous speech. And I'm a conservative Democrat living here in New York, where this example of bringing peace to everyone should be thought of in New York City, where out of ignorance, the people are about to elect a guy who's pro-terrorist, pro-Hamas, who's friends with his people in Uganda, a country that lawfully executes people for being gay. This should be a wake-up call to everyone, that people can live together. I go back. I worked as a young man for Humphrey and for McGovern, and became more conservative as I've gotten older. This was like the best. You know, he does it in his own style. This should be a lesson to all of us that we can all live together. I think the future, if the Gazans really accept the goodness and the money that's going to come from the Arab community and from the world community, it can be a different world. It's a great moment in history for everyone, and we have to reject hate. We have to reject Antifa. We have to reject Mandami, and we have to come together as human beings. I'm an old guy. Life is short, and we should live it with love.
Yeah, and just think about it. That's the guy that they say is a fascist. That's the guy they said was going to bring World War III. The left is panicking, folks. That's why they're so freaking silent on X. Could you imagine had Joe Biden accomplished this? I mean, they wanted Joe Biden to do this. The left certainly did. If he did it, if he actually set up this whole ceasefire and peace deal and accomplished the job, it would be Nobel Peace Prize this, Nobel Peace Prize that. The greatest president ever. The greatest peace negotiator known to mankind. But since Trump did it, it's either Joe Biden gets the real credit, total silence, or they're somehow trying to disavow this or spin it into negative, or that it's not going to work and Trump's being played and yada yada. And that's because they're trying to get ahead of the narrative. They know that their lie that Donald Trump is this monster, I think today has fully died. At least to most people who have basic intellectual honesty and integrity. President Trump isn't what they say he is. In fact, I think he's the exact opposite. President Trump is exactly what we know him to be. He is a force for peace, a force for sanity across the global stage. You know, you got these neocons like Nikki Haley who are always saying, peace through strength, peace through strength. They love to say it, but they don't live by it. This right here, this is peace through strength. What he did in Iran, same thing. All the wars he's stopped, the American pressure that he's applying, not to cause endless wars or global conflict, to boost GDP numbers, no, to actually end hostility. That's peace through strength. And now what a track record he's got. He's stopped so many wars. He got all these peace deals from his first administration that happened in the Middle East, and we're likely to see a couple more added on here. This president is restoring order. He's getting results. And fewer people are buying the leftist BS these days. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Liberal Hive Mind. That was a pretty good video. Let's go on. Let's keep it moving because I want to finish by 10 if I can. Got a couple of, I got this one video here, and then I got a couple of the weather. We got 3 of them back to back to back of the weather. And then a video about Letitia James. And then I got Tyson De La Cruz on a back to back. Tyson De La Cruz. So, actually, he just uploaded one. So I'm going to go get it. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to bring it up right now. And, you know, Tyson will be here on Thursday at 7:30 Eastern Time. On the PM, of course. I start my show at 7:30. I decide 7:30 is the perfect time for me to do this. It's a time that I used to watch a lot of Inside Edition when I was little. 7:30 used to be the mark for Inside Edition. I used to like 7:30 a lot, and I kind of I like 7:30. So Tyson will be here this Thursday, 7:30, every Thursday until death does us part. Oh Lord. Okay, so I already put up that video. I gotta set this up first. So before I continue, let me make sure everything is set up. Okay, these two need to be resized. And then we'll be wrapping up the show. And then I'll be back on here tomorrow for another beautiful show. Because every show is beautiful. Because why not, right? Gotta keep it going. If I'm reaching out to one person, that's one mind that I'm getting into. And more will come. Eventually, they'll come. So let's go ahead and let's watch this right here. All right, here we go.
And we are following some breaking news right here on Live Now from Fox. Just learning from President Donald Trump via Truth Social that the U.S. has struck another ship there right off of the Venezuelan coast. We've seen several of these happening over the past several weeks, and now we have learned really just moments ago here that another ship has been struck. First, I do want to take you out to this post right here coming in from the Associated Press. It does say Trump says the U.S. has struck another small boat he accuses of carrying drugs in waters off Venezuela, killing a total of 6 people. Now, he has described them as suspected drug smugglers. Want to pop up some of the video coming in alongside this post right here. Again, this video just coming in from President Donald Trump and Secretary Pete Hegseth. Now, this is himself saying under standing authorities as Commander-in-Chief this morning, the Secretary of War ordered a lethal
Yo, they don't learn their lesson? They keep pushing the envelope over there, Venezuela.
Terrorist organization that is a DTO conducting narco trafficking in the U.S. Southcom area of responsibility just off the coast of Venezuela. Intelligence confirmed the vessel was trafficking narcotics. It was associated with
I don't know why they keep trying to push these boats.
And was transitioning along a known DTO route. Of course, we do know
that
he did establish the U.S. Southcom area there to essentially take care of situations like this. And as you can see in that video posted on Truth Social, that is the explosion as the boat was hit earlier on today. Again, President Trump just writing this information here on Truth Social, providing that video saying that the strike was conducted in international waters. 6 male narco terrorists aboard the vessel were killed in the strike, and no U.S. forces were harmed. Again, taking a look here at this post coming in from the Associated Press, President Trump saying that the U.S. has struck another small boat that he accuses of carrying drugs in waters off Venezuela, killing 6 drug smugglers. Of course, this coming as we have learned from officials there that more and more of these strikes are happening and will continue to happen there in international waters, specifically off the coast of Venezuela. We will keep you updated right here on Live Now from Fox as we do get additional information and again, see more of these happening. Stay with us here on Live Now from Fox.
That's crazy, man. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go to Letitia James here.
3-bedroom home in Norfolk, Virginia continues to cause trouble for New York State Attorney General Letitia James. Last week, James was indicted by a federal grand jury in Virginia on charges of bank fraud and making false claims to a financial institution. Prosecutors allege the 66-year-old New York prosecutor bought the 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom Norfolk, Virginia home in August 2020. For roughly $137,000, most of which was financed with a $109,600 loan that prohibited it from being used as a rental investment property. Her ill-gotten gains from the lower mortgage rate amounted to approximately $18,933 over the life of the loan, prosecutors allege. But now, in a shocking addition to the federal charges brought against James, new reporting also alleges that at least one of the Norfolk home's inhabitants is wanted by police, James's own grandniece, Nakia Thompson. According to court documents seen by the Daily Mail, Thompson is officially listed as an absconder who is wanted by authorities in Forsyth County, North Carolina, for failing to finish her probation.
What?
Keith Ackrey from the North Carolina Department of Corrections told the Mail that the 36-year-old was sentenced to probation for misdemeanor convictions for assault and battery and trespassing, and has willfully avoided probation supervision. Ackrey added that Thompson's crimes were considered low-level and thus non-extraditable. The under fire prosecutor's grandniece has reportedly been living with her 3 children in James's 3-bedroom property in Norfolk since 2020. James has called the charges baseless and political retribution from President Trump.
More baseless charges?
Since the indictment, James joined a rally for NYC mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mamdani and called on rallygoers to stand together to defend our rights.
Sounds like very Hitler-like, right? He's very Hitler-like.
New York Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez even
They
sent
call
out an
Trump a
email
Hitler,
urging
but
her
look at how
supporters to
they're
throw some
acting.
bucks to James to fight back against her federal indictment. If convicted on both counts, James faces up to 60 years in prison and a fine of up to $2 million.
Oh Lord, they need to get rid of Letitia James right away. Like, this is like, it's getting ridiculous. All right, let's go to the weather. Let's check out, see what's going on in the tropics, and then we're gonna check out Arizona because there's some major flooding going on out there, and then we're also gonna check out California because there's like powerful storms that are targeting parts of the burned area of California, like the Palisades. Yeah, we're gonna check that out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the Atlantic. Let's see what's up.
It's a weird hurricane season, staying weird in its later stages. So let's bring in Fox Weather hurricane specialist Brian Norcross to talk about this. Brian, I loved your write-up this morning showing the origins of mid-October tropical systems. You have things where you would expect, and then you get this other thing, and it's like, what the heck is that doing there? Just odd to see even any signal in that part of the basin.
Yeah, every once in a while it happens that we get a system out here coming off of Africa, especially if they're that far south. Look how far south that is. That's more or less parallel with the northern South American coast. It's so far south. There's Lorenzo you mentioned, and here's what's left of the nor'easter, just a little bit of fringe effects in southeast New England. That's it right now. Let's look at Lorenzo first here because it's still a tropical storm, 45-mile-an-hour winds. There's the pressure estimated by the Hurricane Center. And you can see it's a ragged-looking, messy thing, and it's not really going to amount to much. If you look at the cone, it kind of loops up, and then the thinking is that it's going to die out. But the remnants of it may very well come all the way around the high pressure that's driving it and come back this way. But again, it's just out in the Atlantic. All right, the way the visible picture looks, and you can see there's where the model puts the center of circulation, and the thunderstorms, such as they are, just kind of flare up here, but nothing really at all organized, and it's not expected to get organized at all. A little wider view, though, and we can see that disturbance that's just south of the Cabo Verde Islands out there, and it's moving more or less due west here. Lorenzo is going to move to the north, high pressure building in behind Lorenzo, and it's going to hold down that disturbance as it moves on across the tropical Atlantic. So here's what the model is saying. That's where the most intense moisture is, where that disturbance is. And you can see it's all kind of spread out. We do see a bit of wave that's kind of gathering the moisture right there. All right, so here we are today, and watch the days up there. We're going to go all the way through the week here. There's the week, and notice it moves forward, and over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday time period, it's moving through the other half of the Eastern
This might be a
Caribbean
big storm going
Islands,
to
but no
the Lower Leeward
development in
Islands.
any of the computer forecasts by that
Oh,
time. But then we look
no.
forward in time, the system kind of slows down, doesn't have a
Oh,
whole lot
no.
pushing it, and there is some indication
It's going to turn into
that
a
we
monster.
might get development in here. This is the
Oh,
GFS
man.
model, and you can see there's a couple things spinning around there, nothing
Oh, this is
organized,
not gonna be
nothing
good.
strong showing up here by Friday
Oh.
of next week.
Our luck
So we're
has
talking
run
about 10
out
days from now.
for some areas.
But anyway, this is where we're going to watch because this is where the water is very warm, and this is where systems do indeed develop sometimes
Yep.
this time of year.
Yep.
And their tropical threat graphic shows that if something's going to develop, it's going
It's
to
right
be
in that
in
area.
that area, but the odds are still in the low range that that's going to happen, but this is going to bear watching next week. Nothing of concern this week.
Yeah, it's
doesn't
still
look
way
like.
out.
When we look at where the storms have formed, this is what you were talking about, Ian. Not much out in here. Very, very little. Here's the concentration here. You can see in the Western Caribbean. That's why when this disturbance, whatever shape it's in, if
I
it
feel bad for
survives the Western Caribbean,
like
that's when we're
Texas
gonna have
and
to pay
Louisiana,
attention.
man.
All right,
I
let's
hope
look at a whole different
big
thing here.
storm
This
doesn't
is
go that
the
way.
super wide view, and this is the U.S.
That
in
would
the
be the
middle. Okay,
last
so
thing
there
that
we are,
we
right there. It's a little bit
needed
hard to
in
see
those
with the jet
areas
streams
with
over
a
top of
strong
it. But
hurricane.
look what's happening here. Here comes the jet stream, and then it makes this very radical move. And this dip right here, that's the storm in California right now. Then it goes back to the north, and we get the heat in the middle of the country, then back south, and that's the nor'easter dip on the eastern part of the country. So when we have a very wavy jet stream like this, the whole thing is moving more slowly, and that affects, and then it kind of kinks, and we get these deep storms. When we get the jet streams plunging south like this, then we get hostile conditions in the tropics. So does that mean that the hurricane season is over? No, because it only takes a pocket for something to develop and one of those dips to go down and grab it. So we can't say that, but for a lot of the tropical Atlantic, it's very hostile right now. It's that pocket in the Caribbean that we're going to have to watch next week. Now, there's another thing going on here, and that is the water temperatures. Here you see cool water along the equator in the Pacific, and that's what we call a La Nina condition. And if the La Nina lasts through the winter, as is forecast, normally that means kind of dry and warm across the southern U.S. and kind of wet across the northern U.S. because that kind of kicks the jet stream farther north. But there's a wrinkle this year, and that's all this heat up here, this Pacific heat wave that extends all the way across the Pacific. So now we have a weird contrast because we have cooler to the south, warmer to the north. Normally, temperatures get cooler as you go closer to the North Pole, obviously. So the temperature profile in the Pacific Ocean, which is by far the biggest ocean on Earth and responsible for a lot of weather, is flipped. So it's very hard to predict exactly what's going to happen. It does tend to make the jet stream go slower. That makes these big dips, and we get storms like we have in California right now. So Ian, it's not going to be a typical La Nina if that big, super big heat wave in the northern Pacific continues, because you just don't have the normal temperature profile that causes the jet stream to be where it is.
That's
so
where the lobster,
it's
the
a little
crab
bit
be
of
acting
we're gonna have
crazy,
to see.
especially the snow
right.
crab.
Nothing's been typical lately, but that's a great point. As we're in this more amplified pattern, now we get the high impact weather. You mentioned the nor'easter, that same trough out west, which is bringing issues to the West Coast. That'll help contribute to the severe weather potential come the early part of this upcoming weekend, back across the middle of Mississippi to the Arklatex. So we've got a lot to watch in weird places in the tropics and then back stateside. That's our hurricane specialist, Brian Norcross. Brian, thank you.
All right, let's keep it moving because I got another. This one is about hold on. We'll leave this one over here. Okay, this one we're going to, it's Arizona. So let's check out Arizona.
Let's keep the focus out west. In Arizona, the town of Globe was hit hard once again. This just weeks after deadly flash flooding devastated the area. Another round of heavy rain moved through on Sunday. The storm triggered mandatory evacuations, road closures, and it sent torrents of water rushing through the streets. These powerful aerial images showed just how much water rushed through the desert community. And as the waters recede, Globe is now in the midst of a long process of recovering, cleaning up again, and trying to move forward. Joining us now with an update on the situation is the mayor of Globe, Al Gameros. Mayor, thank you for being here with us. I'll start by saying we're so sorry what your community has gone through over these last few weeks. The residents there have been through a lot. This happening again so soon must have been traumatic. How's everybody holding up?
Arizona. It was, from the initial, the 26th, when we got the initial flooding event, it was devastating. We've never seen water like that overrun our creeks. Our creeks run right down through downtown, serpentine through the downtown area. This was historic rains. We're also we have a burn scar telegraph fire above the outside of the our city. For 2 weeks, we've been cleaning up, doing a lot of progress, doing our assessments. And then all of a sudden, Sunday, I guess we had the remnants of Hurricane Raymond, and that came in and started flooding again. Sunday's event was not as bad as the 26th, or yesterday. We got hit again yesterday afternoon where the banks ran over in one section of the downtown area.
Yeah, those were some powerful storms again.
You bet.
The extent of the damage across the town, I know, as you said, the cleanup was still underway. Were there spots that were more vulnerable because of what had happened just a couple of weeks back? Or as you said, did you get through this latest round? Thankfully, it wasn't as bad.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad this time, but there was one area that we were concerned with, and you're showing a picture right about that area where it comes for those businesses we're cleaning out. So on Sunday or Saturday, we went up into protection mode, and we started bagging. I think we handed out 30,000 sandbags. We put them in all the businesses, making sure it diminished any water getting in there. And those truly helped because it did elevate to an area in some of the businesses, but it minimized any water or mud getting into them.
Mayor, you said situations like this are not common. It's one of those things that it shouldn't be true, but it is. The state of Arizona has spent more time this hurricane season in a tropical cone, a forecast cone, than the state of Florida has. It's very odd. And you had said that tropical moisture has been hugely problematic, not just for the state, but in your community.
Yes.
Is there anything that can be done to mitigate or
look at that
lessen
rain.
future flooding like this? Or is this just a rare scenario that happened to play out and it just so happened twice in such a short period of time?
You know, I think it's pretty much a rare occasion. We're used to flash flooding. We have dry washes, but when we get lots of rain in the mountain, the Pinal Mountains above us, it goes to an 8,000 elevation. We sit at the bottom of a valley, so all the water canals runs down into our downtown area. We obviously got to reevaluate our creeks, seeing about dredging them, getting with the Army Corps of Engineers, against with assistance from federal funding. See if we can minimize the impact. I don't think we'll ever be able to eliminate it 100%, especially with that amount of
really strong winds.
Yeah, no question. And I know all of our hearts just kind of sank when we saw the pictures.
What happens with these storms? They go through there.
Back. So what does the path forward look like? How much damage is present? How long do you believe it'll take to get your town and your residents back up to a place where you could call things at least closer to normal again?
Well, I believe we're moving at fast pace, and we got many volunteers, not only from our community, but they came from all over. For one day, we had 3,000 volunteers come in from not only Arizona, California, Utah, and they came in our community, and we were already doing the assessments of the buildings. We obviously have some businesses or buildings we're going to have to tear down that are going to be condemned.
That's wild.
This is only one section of our city. It's only one quarter, this lower end, that it affected. We have an area where a lot of homes were affected too. People lost their homes there. So we're starting that evaluation.
Well, now you know what the flood goes through.
This was something awfully scary to see playing out once again. So we are really glad to hear that you fared a little bit better this go around.
Yes.
And we wish you the best in the recovery there. That's the mayor of Globe, Arizona, Al Gameros. Thanks for talking with us on Fox Weather.
Thank you.
All right, now we're gonna go to California because California is going through their craziness with their weather too, and this is a beautiful look at Santa Monica. This is the Santa Monica Pier. This is where they have the rides and stuff, like a little road. I've been on this pier actually. I used to go here. I used to hang out at the promenade. I used to go to the promenade. I used to go eat at the PF Chang's. If you go like more down to the north, the north side, there's a PF Chang's at the end of the promenade. I used to go eat there. I used to live in California, so and I've been out here, and then Muscle Beach is this way. Venice Beach and Muscle Beach is to the south. So it's more down this way. So, but look at the storms that are like the weather. It doesn't look good. It looks like it's going to be pouring. All right. Let's go ahead and watch and listen.
to talk more about this is Dr. Ariel Cohen. He's the meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service office in Los Angeles, Oxnard. Dr. Cohen, great to have you back with us here on Fox Weather. We've been lucky to chat with you a bunch of times about all kinds of happenings down in Southern California, but never about a severe thunderstorm watch. It's the first time that's happened in almost 2 decades. Can you tell us about what's been playing out with this kind of odd or at least rare situation down there?
We certainly ended up with the alignment of the ingredients that favor the development of thunderstorms capable of producing damaging wind gusts. And we also saw a number of circulations or areas of rotation with this activity last night. And what that meant was that the risk for localized wind damage was elevated. And so in collaboration with the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, we had issued a severe thunderstorm watch when it appeared that those ingredients were coming together for a prolonged duration and extended area of isolated sporadic damaging wind gusts. And indeed, that's what we saw. We saw about a dozen or so different areas of either measured severe wind gusts in excess of 58 miles an hour or wind damage as well. Now, many areas did not experience those damaging conditions, but those isolated locations that did, as supported by that environment we were looking at, the relatively rare environment coming together to support this potent of a storm system and impact.
Yeah.
It appeared that we would be ending up with what we experienced. And in addition to that, the flooding has also been a major concern. We've had a number of flash flooding reports, some mudslides, rock slides, and minor debris flows across the Los Angeles area through the morning hours today.
That's something that we've talked about over the last several months. Of course, going back to the start of the year, the historic wildfires in the Los Angeles area, and we talked about the vulnerability, especially in those places, to things like debris flows, like you had just mentioned. We've had situations that have been far lesser in severity than this generate some issues. How long do you think that's going to be the case there? Is that until further notice, anytime that there's the threat of heavy rain is going to lead to, like we saw, some of these evacuations and the overall hazards?
So, great question. That's something that we're continuously evaluating on different burn area response teams. In fact, the service hydrologist, the senior service hydrologist right behind me, is actually very actively involved in working with our core partners in order to determine how the changing landscape conditions, not only from year to year, but
I used to be there. I used to hang out there. Look at them, they got rain. Look at that.
Of its ability, its receptiveness to rainfall and whether that rainfall is able to be absorbed into the ground.
It's gonna be snow too in the mountains.
Does it go into runoff? Does it go into pushing debris in those burn
A lot of
down
snow in the
to create
mountains.
debris flows? And so that's something we're constantly working with our partners to evaluate.
Yeah, at least they're getting rain.
That we use in terms of rainfall rates to determine whether we're going to be experiencing those potentially
Look at that.
destructive
Look at the
debris
snow.
flows. We actually saw some of those rates last night, as was collaborated.
Those mountains are gonna get a
between
lot of snow.
Our office, USGS, and our emergency management, law enforcement partners. And we actually ended up issuing flash flood warnings, not only for the Eaton Burns
This is a telltale sign
but other areas
of what's
as
to
well,
come
where
this
the
year,
ground was
man.
much less
This
receptive
winter.
to absorbing the water falling and much more capable
If it's
of
starting off
pushing
like this,
down the debris from the fire activity. So it's
Yeah.
something we're constantly assessing, constantly evaluating. So we're giving the best science-based threat assessment when it comes to flash floods.
Yeah, this was some
and
potent
they need the
storm, some of
rain.
those rain rates that moved
You know,
in with the
it
healthy
calms
storms.
down the fucking
Glad that
fire.
things will be improving at least
Oh.
gradually over the next several hours. But we know
So they don't have to
it's
worry
been a
about
busy
fire.
run for you guys right there at the National Weather Service office in Los Angeles, Oxnard. So as
Let
always,
it
we
rain.
appreciate the time and the expertise.
I used to
That's
love when it
Dr.
rained
Ariel
out there.
Cohen, the meteorologist in charge at NWS Oxnard. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
You too.
I remember when I lived out there, right? And here, let me bring it back to me. When I lived out there, I used to love when it rained because it was very rare that it rained. And when the rain came, and you see the trees, and then you feel the moisture, you feel like the humidity. It's it's pretty cool, the California rains, and I experienced it. And I'm glad that I lived there for a year to experience California. A lot of stopping grounds. I was there for Christmas. Got a real Christmas tree. Like, had like really cool experience out there. Like, I was there for like almost a year and a half. I was out there. Yeah, I was out there for like, I would say like a year and like 3-4 months or something like that. My mom called me back. She was like, she was sick and stuff, and asked me to come back, and I came back to Florida. So, and good thing, because California was whatever. It wasn't all that. I had a hard time breathing over there, anyways. But life would have been different. I would have been a different YouTuber. You would have never met me like how I am today, probably, right? Because every decision I made brought me to this moment where I'm at today. Every decision I made brought me to this moment today. That's wild. And now we're going to go into Tyson De La Cruz. So we got back-to-back Tyson De La Cruz, and then I'm wrapping up the show. So with that said, let me go ahead and set it up. Let's see, which one is this one? Okay, and this is the new one. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring it over here. Let's set it up and let's watch and enjoy.
A Scottsdale couple that lived a luxurious lifestyle at the expense of taxpayers will now spend several years in federal prison.
America, we need to talk about something that's going to make your blood boil. While you're struggling to pay your medical bills, while seniors are rationing their medications, a couple in Arizona just got caught running a $1.2 billion healthcare fraud scheme. They were buying $300,000 Ferraris and $6 million mansions while targeting dying hospice patients. Some who died the very day they received unnecessary medical procedures. And when I tell you how they try to flee the country with books on how to disappear without a trace, you're going to understand everything that's wrong with our system.
All right, Tyson, what's up?
Scottsdale couple is accused of being at the center of a $900 million healthcare scam that targeted dying hospice patients.
The Department of Justice said that the suspects used a large chunk of that money to fulfill their lavish lifestyle.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This story perfectly illustrates what happens when people look at government healthcare programs and see them as their personal ATM machine. Let me introduce you to Alexandria Gerke and Jeffrey King, a Phoenix couple who looked at Medicare and said, you know what? This is our lottery ticket. These two had zero medical training, zero, but they figured out how to steal more money from healthcare programs than most hospitals see in a decade.
Jeffrey King and Alexandra Gerke defrauded Medicare with $1 billion scheme, billing for medically unnecessary wound grafts for elderly and terminally ill patients.
Here's what really gets me about this case. They weren't even trying to hide it. There were photos of Alexandria Gerke posted on LinkedIn 2 years ago, showing her and Jeffrey King at the symposium at Advanced Wound Care. They were literally networking at medical conferences while running $1 billion fraud scheme. The audacity here is off the charts. Alexandria owned Apex Medical LLC and was incentivizing medical untrained sales reps to find Medicare patients with wounds of any size or severity. Any size. We're talking about people targeting paper cuts and treating them like major medical emergencies.
38-year-old Alexandra Gerke and 49-year-old Jeffrey King of Scottsdale face several federal charges, including healthcare fraud, conspiracy, receiving kickbacks, and money laundering.
King started off as a sales rep at Apex, but according to the government, his wife orchestrated the entire scheme. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment decision. This was a calculated, systematic plan to defraud the American healthcare system. Here's how their operation worked, and it's absolutely diabolical. Alexandria hired what they called sales representatives, people with no medical training, whose job was to literally hunt down elderly patients and hospice patients. Think about that for a second. They were targeting people who were literally dying.
The Department of Justice claims all that luxury for Jeffrey King and Alexandra Gerke came from the pockets of the taxpayer in a massive healthcare scheme that lasted 2 years.
These weren't just any patients. They were specifically going after elderly people and hospice patients, the most vulnerable people in our healthcare system, people who were too sick to question what was actually happening to them. The sales reps would find patients with wounds of any size, and I mean any size, like a paper cut size, perfect. A small scratch, even better, because here's the kicker. They would order massive wound grafts regardless of the actual wound size. Alexandria instructed her sales team to only order grafts that were 4 by 6 centimeters or larger, even if the wounds were tiny. Why? Because bigger grafts meant bigger insurance payouts. They were literally putting bandages the size of playing cards on wounds that were the size of toothpicks. And get this, they were applying these grafts to wounds that have already healed. To infected wounds were grafted to make things worse. To wounds that weren't responding to treatment. They didn't care about the patients. They cared about the money. Now here's where it really gets criminal. The couple ordered as many allografts as possible to be placed on a patient's wounds, receiving around $280 million in illegal kickbacks from the distributor of that particular product.
Court documents say Gerke and King billed Medicare $1 million per patient for high-priced skin grafts to be applied to vulnerable patients' wounds.
Let me break that down for you. They were billing Medicare $1 million per patient for skin grafts that cost a fraction of that amount. And they were getting nearly $300 million in kickbacks alone. This wasn't healthcare. This was a pyramid scheme using dying patients as props. Alexandria was at the top, getting massive kickbacks from graft distributors. And then she was paying her sales reps tens of millions of dollars in unlawful kickbacks to keep finding more victims. And here's the part that should make every American furious. They were doing this without coordination with the patient's treating physicians. They were overriding medical judgment with sales quotas. Doctors who actually knew these patients weren't even consulted. Let me break down the scale of this fraud for you because the numbers are absolutely staggering. $1.2 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare. Over $960 million stolen from federal programs like Medicare and TRICARE. $615 million actually paid out by insurance companies. $280 million in kickbacks to Alexandria alone. We're talking about more money than some small country's entire healthcare budget. And this was just two people with no medical training running a scam out of Phoenix.
According to this federal indictment, the couple, through companies they owned, caused nearly $1 billion worth of fraudulent claims to Medicare, targeting terminally ill hospice patients.
Terminally ill hospice patients, people who were dying. The indictment says some patients died the day of the procedure. Think about that. People spent their final hours on earth being used as billing codes by these criminals. The document claims they were giving patients unreasonable and unnecessary skin grafts, unreasonable and unnecessary procedures to people who were already suffering. That's not healthcare fraud. That's torture for profit. So what did they do with all this stolen money? Did they invest it wisely? Did they put it aside for when investigators came knocking? No, they did not. They went on a shopping spree of a lifetime.
Money prosecutors say was used to fund their lavish lifestyle, including the purchase of this Scottsdale home.
The government seized nearly $100 million in assets, including 4 luxury vehicles worth over $980,000. We're talking about a $300,000 Ferrari and multiple high-end Mercedes-Benzes parked in the driveway of their $6 million Scottsdale home. But it wasn't just cars. They had $22 million in life insurance and annuities, bank accounts with over $68 million, jewelry, precious metals, and gold bars. The government found $350,000 in cash during the search of their home. Think about this. While elderly patients were getting unnecessary medical procedures, while families were struggling to pay legitimate medical bills, these two were buying Ferraris and gold bars with stolen Medicare money. Here's where the story gets even more wild. When investigators started closing in, Alexandria and Jeffrey King didn't just lawyer up, they tried to flee the country.
Fox 10 obtained the government's motion for detention filed just days ago, calling Gerke and King significant flight risks.
The government's motion for detention called them a significant flight risk because they had over $500,000 in gold bars and gold coins, plus $52 million held in 11 different bank accounts. But here's what shows you they knew exactly what they were doing. When authorities searched their home, they found a note to Alexandria's housekeeper asking her to notify them of any indictment while they would be on a quote-unquote trip to Europe.
Authorities found 2 books titled How to Disappear, Erase Your Digital Footprint, Leave False Trails, and Vanish Without a Trace, and the Criminal Law Handbook.
These people were planning to disappear with nearly $1 billion in stolen healthcare money. Alexandria even left instructions for relatives on how to access and transfer her cryptocurrency during her absence, using verbal orders in code. This wasn't panic. This was a carefully planned escape strategy. The end came at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. Authorities arrested them as they were about to board a flight heading out of the country. They literally caught them trying to flee with stolen Medicare money.
Authorities say they were just about to board a flight heading out of the country when they were finally arrested.
When Jeffrey King got sentenced to 14 years in prison, he broke down sobbing in court. And when the judge announced his sentence, you know what he did? He looked at the prosecutors and whispered, "Why? Why? Really? You stole over $1 billion from healthcare programs. You targeted dying patients. You buy Ferraris with Medicare money, and you're asking why when you get caught?"
King was visibly emotional, court sobbing at times, and after the sentence was announced, he even looked at the prosecution whispering, "Why?"
The judge recommended that he be housed at federal prison in Sanford. His family and attorney didn't want to give any comment after the court hearing. Alexandria got 15 and a half years in federal prison and must pay nearly $615 million in restitution. This case shows you everything wrong with our healthcare system.
Crazy.
When fraud is this easy, when oversight was this weak, when criminals can steal over $1 billion before getting caught, the system is fundamentally broken.
Judge Rosalind Silver said it herself today in court, quote, "They were in it for greed." She sentenced King to 14 years in federal prison.
This couple had no medical training whatsoever. They were telling nurse practitioners to suspend their medical judgment and just apply whatever grafts the sales team ordered. Think about that. People with no medical knowledge were overriding trained medical professionals because sales quotas mattered more than patient care. The healthcare fraud strike force has charged over 5,800 defendants who collectively billed over $30 billion in fraudulent claims. $30 billion. That's not a few bad apples. That is a systematic problem. While these two were buying luxury cars and multi-million-dollar life insurance policies, real patients were suffering. Every dollar that they stole was a dollar that couldn't go to live. Care fraud isn't just about money. It's about trust. When criminals target the most vulnerable patients, when they turn medical care into a profit scheme, they're not just stealing money, they're destroying the foundation of healthcare itself. Alexandria Gerke and Jeffrey King looked at dying patients and saw dollar signs. They turned hospice care into a cash cow. They bought Ferraris with money meant to help sick people and almost got away with it. The only reason why they got caught is because somebody finally noticed that $1.2 billion in wound graft claims seemed a little excessive. Think about how many small frauds are still happening right now that nobody noticed yet. Now they're facing decades in prison and hundreds of millions of dollars in restitution. But here's the question that nobody's asking. Where's the rest of the money? They stole $1.2 billion and they're only paying back about a half of that. The moral of the story is simple. When healthcare becomes a business first and patient care second, this is what happens. Criminals see opportunity where patients see hope. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Very nice. Thank you for another beautiful update there. Good uploads. I have a +1. I added one. Sorry. But we got to watch this one. And Tyson's going to close out the show for tonight. But we have a late entry into the show for tonight. And that person is Jason A. So we're going to go ahead and watch Jason A. and see what he's going to have to say. And then we'll finish off the show with Tyson Little Cruz. Let's go ahead and put the volume up. Give me one sec. Here we go.
Scientists say there's now evidence two of the best-known earthquake fault lines on the West Coast are in sync, and that has the potential for a major disaster.
Scientists are now sounding the alarm over a rare kind of earthquake that could shake California harder than anything we've seen before. They're called super shear quakes, and researchers say the San Andreas Fault could be the perfect setup.
But what if the big one was more than one? A new study suggests the two biggest West Coast fault lines, the San Andreas and Cascadia, may be seismically linked, and theoretically, a quake on one could trigger a quake on the other.
Two of the West Coast's biggest faults could trigger each other, leading to a disastrous megaquake. Oh dear.
Scientists say this new information should again encourage the public and public agencies to prepare for the big one, or maybe two. It may sound new to most of us, but scientists have been looking into a seismic link between the San Andreas Fault in Northern California and the Cascadia subduction zone in the Northwest since 1999. Now a new study, headed by scientists at Oregon State University studying layers of sediment, seems to show that earthquakes on one, like the Loma Prieta quake in 1989, could possibly impact the other. The study's lead author, marine geologist Chris Goldfinger, tells us it's important to note that a quake on either one wouldn't necessarily trigger the other or make the damage worse.
If you had a 1906 style earthquake in San Francisco, it would be similar to the 1906 earthquake, and you would never know about Cascadia going off just by your personal experience.
A new study by experts at Oregon State University focuses on the San Andreas Fault here in Northern California and the Cascadia subduction zone off the coast of Oregon and Washington. So scientists looked at sediment pulled from the ocean and found earthquakes on one fault have the potential to set off the other within hours. Just one large earthquake could be devastating, but two in a row could mean massive emergencies across the entire West Coast. Researchers say emergency planners should prepare for that possibility.
And that can make it a lot more dangerous than an earthquake that we may have felt maybe just about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Let's talk about the risk that actually exists in California. We mentioned the San Andreas Fault. Is there a risk that a super shear earthquake strikes us? Is that what we should be considering as, quote, the big one?
Well, I think the risk is real, and there's high probability that the next big earthquake on one of the California's long faults, like the San Andreas or the Hayward or the San Jacinto fault, would be a super shear, because our statistics suggest that for earthquakes with magnitude larger than 7, worldwide, almost 1/3 of these earthquakes were super shear. Now, California is at a risk of a big earthquake, whether it's a super shear or sub shear, and both of them could be really damaging, and we should be preparing for it.
This is a USGS map, and what we're looking at is the San Andreas Fault. So the San Andreas Fault roughly is this one. I'm going to turn this off so you can just kind of see it as a plate boundary. Now, we know that the San Andreas Fault has a northern portion of it and a southern portion of it. So it's split up, right? And basically, researchers don't have any connection from northern San Andreas Fault to southern San Andreas Fault. But there is another zone up here called the Cascadia Zone that this new study says earthquakes that have happened up here in this zone, they have evidence, they say, to prove has almost immediately triggered an earthquake on the San Andreas Fault. Now, they say after thousands of years of studies, they've unearthed, literally unearthed data that proves that this is the possibility of happening. Now, the expert that I spoke with tonight says this is a very unique situation, and says the author of this study isn't afraid to make assumptions, and also says that this is something that he has been kind of theorizing for the last 20 years. Now, while he does say that the evidence in this study does make the idea a little bit more, we'll say, possible here, he does say that it's still pretty unlikely.
You know, it would be an oh my gosh event. On the other hand, the indications are it's not common. It wouldn't be the next thing we'd expect to see. It's one of those things that could hit and would have a tremendous impact if it's the full extent that he's arguing. And so, yeah, it's an oh my gosh event, but the likelihood isn't that high.
Yeah, so the study says that could potentially happen. The man I spoke with, John, there says he'd like some peer review on that study first to really get its full impact.
What changes, though, is that if you have two great earthquakes in Cascadia and the San Andreas going off in close proximity, either one alone would draw down the resources of the country trying to respond to that.
One interesting possible benefit, a quake on one fault could tell us what might happen on the other linked fault.
so it could serve a natural warning system that a San Andreas earthquake might be coming sometime soon. It could be hours, days, weeks, months, even years, and we wouldn't be able to say that. But it would certainly be an alarm bell for the San Andreas.
Now, scientists are quick to point out that kind of warning would not be considered a prediction, and despite the significance of this study, Goldfinger says he wants other scientists to test the theory by researching past earthquakes from California to Washington.
And so we should be paying attention for this type of earthquakes that was believed to be rare, but now scientists know that it's not any longer rare as we get better measurements and so on.
Good morning. We are coming on the air early this morning. I'm Laura Garcia with Marcus Washington. Breaking news this morning. Did you feel it? A 4.3 earthquake in Berkeley rattles the East Bay area.
You can see right now, this is a map of that area. You can see the 4.3 struck around 2:56 this morning. At first it came in as a 4.6, but it has been downgraded to a 4.3. We also heard from the National Weather Service, no indication that a tsunami is here, so there's no threat of that, so that's something we don't have to worry about. Also, we have not gotten any reports of any serious damage or any issues with people being hurt. Now, the USGS is reporting more than 20,000 people felt that quake as far north as Yuba City and as far south as Salinas.
Or with this earthquake specifically, it was along the Hayward fault line. And I want to pull up a couple things when it comes to that fault line. You take a look behind me. We monitor a lot of them. The San Andreas, of course, that runs just along the peninsula. But as we head over into the Hayward fault line, there is a lot of activity with this one. There's been some small aftershocks since then. Let's see if we could zoom in. There's lots to talk about with this. There was a 26% chance that we could see stronger than a 3.0 as mentioned. Another thing with this too, the USGS, we keep a close eye on what they have to say. This was definitely one to wake us up and remind us that there could be stronger. There's a 75% chance just within the next 50 years alone, 150 years actually, that we could see something stronger.
Good morning. Well, here in California, this earthquake really a reminder of how we should have a plan in place. We've seen the notification from police here in Berkeley letting people know to take cover. There is the possibility here of aftershocks. And we are talking to students this morning, some people not even asleep, but just awake when this earthquake happened close to 3 a.m. I have Kobe joining me this morning. Kobe, come over here. Tell us what you felt this morning. This is your first earthquake being felt for you. You're from China. You're a freshman here at UC Berkeley. What was going on when the shaking happened?
Yes, it was my first time to feel an earthquake. I was from China and I was awake playing with my phone this morning, but I suddenly the earthquake came and I was completely frightened and didn't have time to think about what I should do. So I just, based on my instinct, just ran out of my room. But luckily the earthquake ends within 3 seconds or 5. So I was safe and that was very fortunate. I was really scared though.
I know. I feel like I could hear it. You know, so scared that you couldn't go back to sleep. So tell us what you did next. You're on campus for a reason here.
Yeah, actually I tried to sleep on my bed for 10 minutes, but I decided I would just rather go to the library and do some homework because I really couldn't get to sleep after the earthquake.
I'm sure a lot of people are feeling the same way. I remember being, a child in my parents' home when Northridge happened. And it was one of those things is how do you go back to bed after something like that? So in China, you're saying you also have a lot of preparation for earthquakes and you guys go through drills at school as well.
Yeah, in primary school, we had a lot of drills. We are supposed to protect ourselves under desks. And after that, in order to prepare for aftershocks, we need to go down the building and find a safe place. But when the earthquake actually came, I didn't think about anything I was taught. It was just so scary.
I know it's hard, right, to program that in our minds. Kobe, thank you for talking to us this morning. And hey, welcome to California. Now you've been initially here, you probably heard about all the earthquakes we have, and now you finally got to feel one for yourself. Thanks for joining us this morning. So yeah, I guess the reminder this morning for Kobe is that, we hear all the time is be prepared, have a plan so that when it does happen, you know how to take action and we're safe here in our community. So we do have the possibility of those aftershocks, hoping we don't have them. Not a way you want to wake up at 3 a.m. Right, guys?
Thank you, Jason A, for another beautiful upload there. Now we're going to end off with Tyson De La Cruz. So let me get this ready. And let's enjoy the last show of the night, Tyson. I got to put the volume up, of course. Get it right, Rick. I'm trying.
Naked bike ride as hundreds of riders made their trek across the city to outside the ICE building to gain attention, sending a message they don't want the president to deploy the National Guard in Portland.
America, we need to talk about what's happening at ICE facilities across the country because what I'm seeing is absolutely insane. In Chicago, they built a fence around the ICE facility to keep white liberal protesters from interfering with immigration enforcement. And honestly, it's about time. Meanwhile, in Portland, hundreds of people are riding bikes, get this, completely naked to protest immigration enforcement. But here's what really gets me. While our government is trying to enforce our laws, these unemployed activists are turning serious policies into a circus.
This fence stands as a symbol of division. This fence is a symbol of dividing families. This fence is a symbol of dividing communities. This fence is a symbol of dividing Americans.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This story perfectly illustrates the difference between people who want to enforce our laws and the people who have nothing better to do than to dress up like cartoon characters and ride bikes naked. Let's start off with what's happening in Broadview, Illinois, just outside Chicago. The Department of Homeland Security erected a fence around a ICE processing facility. And you know what? Good. It's about time somebody put up barriers to keep these white liberal protesters from interfering with federal operations.
And this fence is a symbol of denying American constitutional rights. We must pull back all of these fences and all of these barriers to the American dream.
Illinois House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch is out here crying about this fence, comparing it to the Berlin Wall. You know what the difference is? The Berlin Wall was built to keep trapped people under communism. The fence is built to keep protesters from disturbing federal agents who are trying to enforce American immigration law. I'm all for it. These protesters have been so disruptive, so aggressive that ICE agents can't even do their job safely. So yeah, put up the fence, block them out, let the professionals do their work without having to deal with a bunch of unemployed activists screaming at them all day.
Illinois State Police say they made 15 arrests outside the ICE facility in Broadview today as protesters clashed with officers.
Look at this, 15 arrests in one day. These aren't peaceful protesters exercising their First Amendment rights. These are people actively interfering with law enforcement operations. They're clashing with officers, disrupting federal business, and creating public safety hazards. The fence isn't the problem. The protesters are the problem. And if it takes a fence to keep them from obstructing federal immigration enforcement, then build the fence higher.
This decision was made to protect lives. It's been only by God's grace that no one has been seriously injured or killed as protesters dart into traffic on that busy 4-lane street.
The mayor of Broadview had to restrict where protests can happen because these people were literally running into traffic. Think about that. They are so unhinged, so desperate for attention, so desperate to disrupt immigration enforcement that they are endangering their own lives and the lives of innocent drivers. This is exactly why the fence is necessary. When you have people who are willing to run into traffic just to interfere with federal operations, you need physical barriers to protect everyone involved. Now here's where it gets interesting. You got Congressman Raja, Senators Tammy Duckworth and Dick Durbin, all demanding access to this facility, claiming that they have some constitutional right to inspect it.
We have the right, without giving any notice, to inspect any ICE detention facility. This particular Broadview facility, in my opinion, would qualify as a detention facility, whatever name they call.
But here's what they're not telling you. This isn't some secret detention center. This is a processing facility where people, get this, who entered our country illegally are being processed for deportation. That is exactly what should happen when somebody breaks our immigration laws. These politicians are trying to create drama where it doesn't even exist. They're acting like there's some conspiracy, some type of cover-up, when really it's just bureaucratic processing of people who shouldn't even have been here in the first place.
We must ask, what must be going on inside this ICE detention center that is so horrid, so inhumane, that they won't allow ministers, to pray and to accompany those in need.
Listen to this rhetoric. What must be going on inside that is so horrid and so inhumane? They're creating a conspiracy theory about a federal facility that's simply doing its job. They want to bring in ministers to pray for people who chose to break American law. You know who needs prayers? American citizens dealing with the consequences of mass illegal immigration. Legal immigrants who followed the rules and are now competing with people who cut in line. Communities struggling with the costs of housing, the cost of education, and providing services to people who shouldn't even be here. But we already know this. These politicians don't care about any of that. They're more concerned about the comfort of lawbreakers than the impact of law-abiding Americans. Meanwhile, President Trump tried to deploy the National Guard to provide additional security around these facilities, and guess what happened? Liberal judges blocked it.
Today, a federal appeals court upheld a ruling blocking the Trump administration from deploying the National Guard in the Chicago area. But the court says the troops can remain federalized while the case is appealed.
So let me get this straight. We have protesters so violent, so disruptive that federal agents need a fence to do their job safely. We have people getting arrested by the dozens, running into traffic, clashing with police. But when the president tries to provide additional security through the National Guard, liberal judges say no. This is exactly the kind of judicial activism that's been undermining law enforcement for years. These judges care more about protecting the rights of the protesters to interfere with federal operations than they do about protecting federal agents trying to do their job.
This is an intentional attack by this president to divide and separate our communities. But he has finally met his match in the greatest freaking city in the world, the city of Chicago.
Illinois attorney called blocking the National Guard a victory for our state. A victory? They're celebrating the fact that federal agents have to work in dangerous conditions while trying to enforce immigration law. And he calls Chicago the greatest city in the world while it's dealing with massive crime, budget deficits, and population exodus. This is the same city that can't protect its own citizens from gang violence, but they're worried about protecting people who enter the country illegally. The Justice Department said the National Guard is needed to protect federal officers from violent attacks. That is not political rhetoric. That's operational reality. But liberal politicians and judges would rather see federal agents endangered than admit that these protesters have gotten out of control.
And more changes are on the way in Broadview. Protesting right outside that facility is about to look a little bit different than it has in recent weeks over the next coming days.
And the changes come as the deadline to remove the fencing is quickly approaching.
Now let's talk about keeping it weird, Portland, because what's happening there is absolutely insane. Hundreds of people participated in what they called an emergency naked bike ride to protest potential National Guard deployment.
So demonstrators pedaled along the streets wearing almost nothing in an emergency edition of the annual World Naked Bike Ride. Well, the bike ride is an annual tradition, usually taking place in the summer, but organizers hastily put together another nude ride to speak out against attempts to mobilize troops.
Let me ask you guys something. What does riding a bike naked have to do with immigration policy? What does public nudity have to do with ICE enforcement? This isn't a protest. This is attention-seeking behavior disguised as political activism. These people are so desperate for relevance, so starving for attention, that they'll take their clothes off in public and call it political resistance. It is absolutely pathetic. And it gets even weirder. They have something called Operation Inflation, where they're giving away inflatable costumes. We're talking about chickens, frogs, unicorns to protest.
Donald Trump is trying to say that this is a war zone, that Donald Trump is trying to say that he wants to invoke the Insurrection Act. He wants to send troops down here to squash the terrorists. And we want to make it clear that this is not a war zone, and that if he wants to invoke the Insurrection Act, he's going to have to point at people in in inflatable chickens and inflatable frogs and inflatable unicorns.
This is Portland's brilliant strategy. Dress up like cartoon characters and ride bikes naked to prove that Portland isn't a war zone. But here's what Portland doesn't seem to understand. The fact that you have time to organize naked bike rides and dress up in inflatable costumes proves exactly what I've been saying about these protesters. These people don't have jobs. They don't have responsibilities. They don't have families to support or businesses to run. They have so much free time that they can spend their days riding bikes naked and dressing up like farm animals.
The naked bike ride's always about showing the vulnerability of like the cyclists, and really we're kind of like, this time there's more about showing the vulnerability of our citizens.
Showing the vulnerability of our citizens. What vulnerability is that? The vulnerability of people who entered our country illegally are now facing consequences? That's not vulnerability. That is accountability. The real vulnerability is what American citizens face when we don't enforce immigration laws. But these protesters don't care about that. They're more concerned with protecting lawbreakers than protecting law-abiding Americans. And here's what really gets me about all this. While these protesters are playing dress up and riding bikes naked, real Americans are at work, paying taxes and dealing with actual consequences of our broken immigration system.
About 2 hours ago, hundreds of naked bike riders actually rode their bikes here in front of the ICE facility. And moments ago, around 50 pro-Trump and pro-ICE supporters have also arrived here.
Who shows up to counter protest? Working Americans who support ICE and support immigration enforcement. People who understand that we need laws and we need to enforce them. People who have jobs and responsibilities and still take the time out of their day to support law enforcement. And what happens when they show up? The anti-ICE protesters attack them, because that's what these people do. They can't handle any opposition to their worldview, so they resort to violence and intimidation.
They'll be displaying those signs saying that we support ICE, we support the mission, and they'll be showing those signs towards the agents, and the agents will actually throw thumbs up back at the supporters.
Federal agents on the roof of the ICE facility giving the thumbs up to pro-ICE protesters. Why? Because they're grateful that somebody in the community supports them for doing their job. Think about that for a second. Federal agents who are just trying to enforce immigration law are so isolated, so under attack, that they're grateful for any sign of support. That tells you everything you need to know about how hostile the environment has become for law enforcement. These agents are just trying to do their job, enforcing laws that Congress passed and the president signed. But they're treated like villains by protesters who have nothing better to do than dress up in costumes and ride bikes naked.
We find that it's extremely important to be out here to show the federal government, especially Trump, we are not afraid. We are not afraid of this presence. And we're here to stand up against ISIS.
We are not afraid of this presence. What presence? Federal agents are doing their jobs. The rule of law, they're literally saying they're not afraid of law enforcement, which tells you everything you need to know about their mindset. They're openly opposing immigration enforcement, openly defying federal authority, and they think they're heroes for doing it. But what they're really doing is making it harder and more expensive to enforce our immigration laws, which ultimately hurts everyone. Let's talk about what this is really costing American taxpayers. Every minute that federal agents spent dealing with these protesters is a minute that they're not spending processing deportations. Every dollar that goes to security and crowd control is a dollar that is not going to actual immigration enforcement. These protesters think that they're helping immigrants, but they're actually making the system less effective and more expensive. They're creating delays, increasing costs, and making it harder for ICE to actually do their job effectively. And meanwhile, we're spending billions of dollars housing, feeding, and processing people who shouldn't even be here in the first place. Instead of supporting efforts to enforce our laws and secure our borders, we have protesters demanding that we make it easier for people to break our immigration laws.
Florida PD here has issued several warnings telling the crowd to clear out the roads or they will be subject to arrest. We continue to see the clashes with federal agents, them attempting to clear out the driveway here.
Look at this. Portland police having to issue warnings to clear the roads. Federal agents having to clear their own driveways. This is what happens when you allow protesters to run wild without consequences. But here's the thing. The fence in Chicago shows that there's a solution. When you put up physical barriers, when you restrict access, when you don't allow protesters to interfere with federal operations, the system works better. In my opinion, the fence isn't a symbol of division. It's a symbol of order. It's a symbol that we're serious about enforcing our laws and protecting the people who enforce them. This isn't just about immigration. This is about a complete breakdown of respect for law and order in liberal cities. We have people that think if they disagree with the law, they can just ignore it or actively obstruct its enforcement. But here's what they don't seem to understand. We are a nation of laws, and these laws apply to everyone. You don't get to pick and choose which laws you want to follow based on your political beliefs. The fence in Chicago is a perfect example of how to handle this problem. Instead of allowing protesters to disrupt federal operations indefinitely, you put up barriers, you restrict access, you make it clear that law enforcement comes first, not the feelings of protesters.
Donald Trump is trying to say that this is a war zone, that Donald Trump is trying to say that he wants to invoke the Insurrection Act. He wants to send troops down here to squash the terrorists.
They're mocking the idea that Portland is a war zone while literally describing federal agents as stormtroopers and comparing immigration enforcement to fascism. They literally cannot see the irony of their own rhetoric. The truth is, these protesters have created a war zone, not because of federal agents doing their job, but because of protesters who refuse to respect the law and the people who enforce it. The solution isn't to give in to their demands or to try to accommodate their protests. The solution is what Chicago did. Put up a fence, restrict access, and let law enforcement do their job. America, this is what we're dealing with. We have federal agents who need fences to do their job safely, and liberal politicians complaining about those fences. We have courts blocking efforts to provide security for law enforcement. We have protesters riding bikes naked and dressing up like cartoon characters, thinking they're making some type of profound political statement. But you know what? The fences in Chicago gives me hope. It shows that when you're serious about law enforcement, when you're willing to put up barriers against those who obstruct justice, the system can work. We need more fences. We need more restrictions on protesters who interfere with federal operations. We need to support the men and women who are trying to enforce our immigration laws, not people trying to stop them. The bottom line is this: if your idea of political protest is riding a bike naked or dressing up like an inflatable chicken, maybe you should spend less time protesting and more time finding a job. And if you're interfering with federal agents trying to enforce our laws, you deserve whatever barriers they put up to keep you away. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you. Oh man. Yeah, naked protester. You know, what else? With the inflatable balloons characters that I went over in the beginning of the show. And that's on a nightly basis. That's happening like almost every night. But I'm out of here. It was a good show. Appreciate it. 3 hours. It's more than enough. I want to say thank you for those who came by. Appreciate it. Also, I'll be back on here tomorrow, so don't worry. But have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night. And I'll catch you on the flip side. And same time, same place. I'll be here. And we'll go over the news of the day. See, every day is a new day. Remember, we go to sleep, we wake up when we make mistakes. And with that said, have a good night. Peace.